The woman used to work as a researcher at the Institute of Zoological Research. The vulnerable moment when the egg just begins to crack and a new life is born. She was dragged into a water tank where a new underwater species took her life by drowning her victim. When she opened her eyes, there stood before her a mysterious beastman whose eyes glowed in the darkness. The beastman scornfully asked, "What family are you from?" It was at this moment that the girl realized that she had moved to another world. Beastman asked alarmedly, "Where's your letter? How could they leave you alone in this dangerous wasteland?" The girl felt embarrassed. She tried to understand why the young man used such strange facial expressions. Something was clearly wrong here, and she decided to find out more. Without hesitation, she tugged at these soft and cute things, thinking, "Is this by any chance not cosplay? But why don't they come off?" But the predator does not disappear without a trace. It remains, changing its form as a mysterious animal ready for new challenges. He grabbed her hand. "Brazen woman, how dare you touch my beastly ears? This is my forbidden zone," sounded with a hint of indignation. Smiling, the girl carefully touched the beastman's tail and dared to put it to her cheek. She felt the awareness of the forbidden penetrate into every cell of her soul. He pushed the girl sharply and she fell to the ground. Drew quickly leaned towards the girl, drew his bow, and firmly pressed the sharp tip of the arrow to her neck, just when it seemed to the girl that her life was about to end. How then a majestic white wolf appeared, frozen in front of a fierce threat, ready to protect the girl at the cost of his own life. All this was the result of an accident that resulted in the emergence of a new type of mutants. They turned out to be the lucky ones chosen by our system to get a rainbow gift. Now, to get this gift, you need to complete one task: transform. The mysterious world is divided into 4 tribes: Western Garu, Eastern Dishan, Northern Orthorin, and Southern Senna, each with its own unique history and noble traditions. He must acquire the treasures of the 4 tribes. By combining 4 treasures, the desert can be turned into a picturesque oasis. To reveal the secret of the rainy treasure, all you have to do is kiss the postal beastman, and the magic will reveal its secrets. The girl did not think for a long time and instantly kissed him. Just by touching her lips, she felt how magic began to reveal its secrets. The next moment, rain suddenly started pouring from the sky. The call announced congratulations to the owner for achieving the romantic achievement of a kiss and discovering the ability to control the rain. The beastman, who had never seen rain, was delighted, and then the lion knight carefully lifted the girl in his arms. "You must be a goddess glorified by the heavens," he thought, promising to protect her always. Suddenly, at this moment, Emo's scorpion tail struck with pride and confidence, declaring that this method of summoning fire is known only to the goddess. The scorpion-like man tied the girl tightly, leaving no chance of escape. A scorpion-like man lustfully looks at a girl in his mind, dreaming of a casual conversation with her as if they were old acquaintances. Having barely calmed down after Ryan, the girl suddenly found herself alone with the scorpion that suddenly appeared. She was so surprised that she could not utter a word. The line shooter fired his arrow in a flash. At that moment, the shooter looked at the scorpion with murderous determination in his eyes. "She's mine," he said to himself, defending his sense of ownership. The scorpion-like man only smiled maliciously. The scorpion-like man slyly threw, "Why don't we share it between us?" The man with the cue joined the offer without hesitation, his eyes sparkling with cunning. At that moment, the sky was filled with tens of thousands of arrows directed towards the scorpion-like man. But the scorpion-like man deftly avoided all the arrows with his backbreaking movements. The lion-like man quickly ordered the girl to stay put. He turned into a mighty lion and rushed forward headlong. The girl watched as the scene was engulfed in chaos. Under the protection of an invisible line, she gradually understood how to complete her task, using every moment for new discoveries. In a fierce battle, the lion clearly dominated, demonstrating its superiority at every step. But the scorpion was not lost, masterfully preparing a cunning maneuver to catch the enemy by surprise. However, his plan was suddenly interrupted by a bright flash of a flashlight that the girl pulled out of her pocket. He had no choice but to sink into the sand to avoid the bright light from the flashlight. The girl thought that the scorpion had already run away, but the scorpion, having made a cunning maneuver, found himself right under the girl's feet, opening his bloody mouth, ready to swallow her in an instant. Fortunately, the savior did not delay. A hero suddenly appeared from behind the horizon, ready to help at a critical moment. At the last moment, the hero managed to pull her out of the mouth of the terrible scorpion man. The girl fainted from shock. The rescued girl suddenly woke up and, looking clear and majestic, declared herself a goddess. Everyone was delighted heaven really did not ignore the Armelia tribe. It was at this moment that the shaman appeared, majestically stepping forward. Everyone begged the shaman to use divine sight to find out if she was actually a goddess. The shaman took out a shining stone from which a mysterious light emanated, and suddenly the stone floated in the air as if alive, straight to the girl. But in an instant, the stone suddenly fell to the ground. The red-haired beast man was on the rise. Does that mean she doesn't have divine power? Indeed, even the divine vision did not reveal any divine power. But even without divine power, it cannot be that the divine vision suddenly ceases to respond. When the shaman touched the stone, images of the tribe's celebrations came to life in her imagination. She saw a vision of the tribe's demise. The red-haired woman offered to send the girl away, stressing that the tribe does not have extra resources for her maintenance. However, the shaman noted that although the girl did not have divine powers, she could bring something more. The changes that the girl could bring to the tribe caused a lively discussion. At this moment, a group of men unanimously expressed their support, wanting to keep her among them, dreaming that she would become their chosen one. However, the leader clearly declared that it belongs to him and no one else dares to encroach on it. When night came, the leader brought the girl to his cave. He pointed to the stone bed and said, "You will sleep here tonight." The girl asked where the giant would sleep. He quickly answered, "You are my chosen one. Of course I will sleep next to you." The girl was stunned by the giant's offer. He wants to sleep next to her. The girl was amazed at the speed of the development of events, because they met only today, and already such an offer. He talked about lions and their endurance, comparing his friend to these giant predators. His story filled her imagination with images of boundless strength and greatness. If the guy focused on this, the girl was in for a sleepless night. At that moment, the forester pulled out a huge wild boar. The forester skillfully cut off the boar's leg using a sharp cleaver. He handed the girl a severed leg of a wild boar. Is one more leg enough to satisfy? Being human, she had no idea how to start eating this. But Levolyudin enjoyed the food with a huge appetite. Seeing such a picture, the girl coughed sharply and quickly ran out of the room, feeling that weakness was taking over her. It was clear why lions eat raw meat, but in human form it looked strange. The man quickly glanced at her. "If you feel ill, I can take you to Lise. He knows a little about medicine," he offered. Leo's eyes quickly filled with determination. "Why do you need fire?" "This is a dangerous thing. I don't have it here," he answered. Hearing this, he decided not to eat boar meat, just eat some fruit, he thought, changing his mind. As he ate an apple, he muttered about how primitive this society was. After eating, the two lay down on the stone bed to rest and regain their strength. At that moment, the white bull leaped out. "Did you forget about your task? Quickly enchant Kaelin, who is next to you." The bull powerfully jerked forward, remembering his plan in time. Without thinking for a moment, he realized now was the perfect moment to attack him. The girl suddenly remembered that she has to fulfill the mission of turning the desert into an oasis. But what does romance and Kaelin have to do with it? Romance remembers once he received a rain bonus after a kiss. Why not use the opportunity to unlock even more abilities? The girl suddenly understood everything and slowly came closer to the man. The beast is so attractive. The next day, Kaelin hugged the girl tightly, even though they had spent the night in special intimacy. Her body trembled from exhaustion under the pressure of feelings. He touched her forehead. "Did she have a fever? We can't just keep sleeping like this." Meanwhile, a fox came out of the cave. Its sharp ears listened intently to the surrounding noise. In a moment, a person was standing in front of them. The charming features of his face were still preserved. At that moment, Kalina ran up to them. It seemed she was about to pass out from the cold. They looked in Kalena's direction. Who would have thought that Moby would immediately become enchanted? What a beautiful woman she is. Justice was about to act decisively when his eyes caught Kaelin's. Her charming figure instantly captured his attention. Stoptis was concentrating on food and disappointment. "What is it you don't want to save the girl?" His inner voice demanded action. Kaelin looked coldly at Moby. "Hold your thoughts." "She's mine" flashed through his mind, and she, in turn, was so hot. It was incredibly hot in the air. At that moment, she unexpectedly approached him. He immediately stopped his drawings and immediately became worried, trying to understand what was wrong with her. Mo carefully touched the girl's forehead, remembering how at night she was burning with fire and freezing from the cold. Her condition required urgent intervention because the situation was becoming more and more critical. After hearing this, Kalen started to blame himself. It's all my fault, I had too much stamina. This resulted in her clothes getting completely wet. She was embarrassed realizing her carelessness. Turning to him, she asked to find dry clothes. Kalen took the clothes in her hands but was lost in her thoughts, not knowing where to start. Sorry, I can only help with the translation and improvement of the Ukrainian text. Please provide the fragment that needs to be rewritten. Kalen closed his eyes, desperately waiting for help. The girl immediately made a sound so cool and soothing that it seemed like a source of freshness. Then she quickly pulled on the new clothes, feeling how the fabric softly hugged her body as if it was made just for her. At this moment, Moby had already prepared the medicine, watching with admiration at her blushing, which gave her even more charm. If Kalen takes the bowl, I will owe you for these medicines. To thank you later, I will bring a wild boar. Mo noted with admiration that he was captivated by the beauty of the girl, and not the fact of a wild boar. But in his heart, he was glad that he had not tasted wild boar for a long time, and finally it was possible to arrange a real holiday. However, the girl remained unconscious and the medicine spilled on the floor. Kalen had no choice but to keep the medicine in her mouth so as not to lose it completely. Then Kellen carefully handed the medicine to the girl, realizing that her life depended on it. The girl instantly reacted, thinking that she saw a dream in which she was kissing a handsome young man. She immediately responded to the other's actions, as if trying to understand whether it was a dream where an unfamiliar handsome man was giving her a kiss. Kalen quickly pushed him away like a lightning bolt through the sky. Kalen wiped his lips, noticing that she was awake. Well, it seems Moby's medicine was at least a little effective, he said. The girl realized that everything around was just a dream. Oh no, what did I do? Panic gripped her as her consciousness snapped back to reality. At that moment, the white bowl suddenly jumped as if alive, flying out of her hands. The girl was confused. She even revealed a new ability. But being around Kalen was so embarrassing, or could it change? When he saw this, he got excited and quickly showed that it can be changed. However, it is not only with Kalen that you can activate new abilities, it is worth trying with other Emma as well. Suddenly, Moby came up admiring the beauty of this girl. His feelings were sincere and may have changed him forever. He got down on one knee, captivated by the charm of her gaze. But the girl mercilessly pushed him away regardless of his passionate feelings. His words hit right at the most painful point of the girl's feelings. Suddenly, he was in her arms as if the wind had crept in and softly whispered it to their hearts. The lion immediately flared up in anger like a flame bursting out of a dungeon. Pulling the girl away, he said, "We need to go back." They still didn't know each other's names. He turned to her. "Girl, what's your name? What tribe do you belong to?" The girl quickly answered that her name is Lin Minge and she is from the Earth tribe, but she cannot return to her own. Kalen assumed that the girl was expelled from her own tribe. With a powerful movement, she slammed her palm down on the mountain, crushing it to pieces. The leader of the Mali tribe carefully leaned over her and assured her that she was now his wife and would become part of their tribe where she would find protection and a new home. She denied his words, emphasizing that she had not yet given consent to be his wife. Fortunately, Kalen knew how to be cute by turning into a small kitten. Minghair immediately blushed, feeling the pleasant sensation of the softness and warmth of the cat's fur that so lovingly wrapped his palms. It means two people who are always thinking together, sharing their joys and sorrows. No one could have thought that it would suddenly start raining. At this moment, Cullen was jumping up and down in joy at the unexpected rain and excitedly shouting, "Rain again! Rain again!" Then he grabbed Mingyu's hand tightly. He kept looking at Mingyu and said with admiration, "You are a real goddess of rain. Otherwise, how could it rain even in a cave?" After these words, Kaylin raised her leather cape. "Your illness has just subsided and you can't catch a cold again." Kaylin thought worriedly as she looked at the rain outside the cave. Kaylin asked Comrade, "Keep your skin up, please." She needed to alert the tribe to collect and store supplies. Kaylin thought as she looked up at the dangerously gray sky. The water flooded the lowland again. Minu looked up, watching the dark clouds that hung over the tribe, ready to pour a downpour. Linmin struggled with a deep sense of guilt, even though she was outwardly confident. Soon, everyone returned with their luggage, reminding them that the leader's wife really looks like a goddess. Minghua thought that this place was really very primitive. Minghua noted that local residents use leaves and gourds to carry things, as if returning to the origins of civilization. At that moment, Kaylin approaches them and informs them that the shaman wants to meet with her. The next moment, the shaman started playing with the glowing stone again. The shaman, concentrating on playing with the luminous stone, uttered a prayer to the deity, "O divine light, give me strength." Tell me, does this girl have divine power? From the girl's point of view, the shaman seemed only a circus performer, a primitive tribe of beastmen who practiced ancient magic and kept mysterious traditions. As a researcher of animals and plants, he realized that this could bring him enormous advantages. At this moment, Cullen suddenly shouted caution. Suddenly, the glowing rock exploded with a crash and a flash. Fortunately, Kayleen immediately rushed forward and managed to pull Minyu out of danger. The shaman was confused why the divine stone that had been passed down from generation to generation had never shown such a reaction before. Kayleen quickly asked a question. The shaman shook his head. Her essence is beyond his imagination, but one thing is clear. She is extraordinary. Barely hearing about the special dish, Kayleen squeezed Mingyu's hand tightly. The shaman had previously spoken about the interweaving of blessings and disasters. He decided to trust her words. It will certainly bring prosperity to our people. These words were accidentally overheard by a man named Faye. This isn't going to work. Faye mused. I have to find a way to get rid of this woman. It was at this moment that a fan passed by, not forgetting to bring gifts with him. She smiled as she accepted the gift. May I ask you one favor? She asked curiously. Send Reese on a mission to eliminate Mingwa. When poison failed, Reese decided to use force. However, killing her immediately seemed too senseless. He decided that before finishing everything, it would be worth having a little fun first. One merciless blow reduced Reyes's vulnerable part to a pile of rubble. Reese held crotch and pain pierced him. But he understood that this woman was too dangerous. She should be destroyed immediately. Then she turned into a huge lizard, kicking up dust and shaking the ground around her. At this moment, Minghua was extremely frightened. Meeting such a monster was beyond any self-defense. She instantly ran away, and the pursuer was already breathing down her back. She ran away so fast that she tripped over a stone. It seemed that Reese was going to kill her now. She instantly grabbed a handful of sand with a lightning-fast plan in mind. Losing his orientation, Reese crashed directly into the nearest rock. Wounded Reese slowly passed to his tribe, leaving behind a trail of blood. Exhausted, she lost consciousness and fell into a memoryless sleep. Suddenly, a jealous man named Faye found her. Kalen carried fresh fruit on the way home when dusk fell. He was quickly treated at MOBI to ensure a speedy recovery. After learning the news, Manfei also immediately went to the place. Heard that Reese was attacked. Did you find out what happened? He asked with concern. Waking up to the melodious voice of the goddess, Reese gradually came to his senses. She quickly approached him, whispering an apology. Her face lit up with joy that he was okay. She approached, choosing between the world of Reese and Minghua. A whole story appeared in Reese's imagination, as if the life he had lived flashed by in a few seconds. He felt how the events of the past were intertwined with dreams of the future, creating a single flow. Today, he hunted rabbits in the mountains and collected fruits and mushrooms. But suddenly, a goddess appeared in front of him and unexpectedly struck him, knocking him unconscious. At this moment, Kalen's face became serious. Are you saying that Ming took your food and knocked you unconscious? He asked in disbelief. It turned out he was a spy from another tribe. At first, he won their trust to lower their vigilance, and yesterday he dared to stun Reese and steal the provisions. At this moment, only Kalen believed in Ming. He searched the entire city, but Ming was nowhere to be seen. Kalen went to the scene to find any trace of Ming's. He could smell 2 different scents of blood in the air, so Minga was also wounded here. And then he noticed Minga's footprints. He quickly rushed to Reese's house because he already felt that there was an important key to solving the mystery. He squeezed Reese's neck and growled, "You lie." The hero suddenly stopped after noticing pieces of Minyu's clothes on the rocks. Did you press her against the wall? He asked suspiciously. Minyu rushed to run, and the pursuer instantly transformed to keep her out of his sight. She suddenly tripped and injured herself but did not stop. But suddenly, Kalen slapped her. My cave is full of food. Why would she steal yours? She exclaimed in disbelief. She did not want to expose his lies to people, but the situation prompted her to act decisively. The shaman appeared and detained Kayleen. I just used the seer's stone. Minguire is still alive, he said with confidence. Meanwhile, Minguire lay exhausted in the dark basement. Suddenly, a middle-aged man, the king of hell who came to take her life, appeared in front of her. Blinking once more, she realized that none other than Kaylin was standing in front of her. Kaylin gently picked Minghua up as if trying to bring him back to life. Finally, he found what he was looking for. But when he was returned to his native tribe, Mingui still did not regain consciousness. Her body was so exhausted that she could not stand up. Their power of fragrant flowers could restore her strength. However, the star spirit flower grows in a stone forest filled with ferocious beasts. Kaylin assured that the tribe has a star spirit flower, so he will go get it. But the firemen did not allow this. Minghua spilled all the water stored in the dungeon. All of our tribe's water was lost. With these words, everyone agreed. She not only spilled our water, but now she is also wasting the star flowers of the spirit. Kaylin could barely contain his anger. He couldn't believe that Minghua could spill their water supplies. Moreover, he is not going to use anything that belongs to the tribe. Kaylin himself set out to collect star spirit flowers, determined to show everyone what he was capable of. At this moment, Manfei showed her true face, hidden for so long but still alive. If he can't win her, then he will destroy her rather than leave her to someone else. After Kaylin's exit, Manfei strongly demands that Mo Bai hand over Mingyu to him. Manfei is extremely upset and craves justice. He appeals to Mo Bai, demanding that he hand over the criminal who spilled all the water stored for the city for proper punishment. However, the MOB resolutely refused, defending its position with unwavering conviction. When gentle methods do not work, one has to resort to harsh measures. At her signal, 3 brave warriors charged like predators ready to finish their business with swift determination. However, Mo kept his composure and was not at all afraid of the trio of stalwarts in front. Mo picked up Mingyua and soared into the sky. He jumped into the pre-prepared tunnel as if determined to avoid any danger ahead. Everyone stopped in front of the tunnel looking at it in confusion. Should they be pursued? Sounded in their thoughts. Manpheus looked annoyed. Why risk your life for someone who is already doomed? Meanwhile, 2 fugitives find shelter in the depths of a remote forest. Hope was leaving him, but the tunnel dug a few days ago now became a salvation that no one expected. Initially, the tunnel was built to make it easier to watch you, but now Manfei has probably already blocked it. However, laying tunnels for him is a quick matter. He gently kissed Mingyu's forehead. Who would have thought that Mingyu would wake up from this tender kiss? See you later. Don't be so weak. Don't let this happen again, he said, leaving Mingyu in thought. Every week, Mingyu prayed for salvation, but felt Kaylin's presence before he passed out. Mani carefully covered her mouth with her hand, warning, "You are very weak now, don't speak." Mingyu frantically shook her head and motioned. Would she like some fruit? Then Mo slowly approached, carefully watching Mingyu's movements. Mingyu looked at the interlocutor and calmly said, "Would you like porridge or soup?" But Mo had no idea what these things really were. Then the second Mingyuese showed Mo how to light a fire full of confidence and knowledge. Seeing the flames, Mob suddenly returned to his original form, seized with a momentary fear. Then he rushed to Mingyu and hugged him. Mingyu amazed everyone with the help of simple wooden sticks. He created a valuable flame for the tribe. Suddenly, danger crept up quietly. He warns that he is not used to sharing women and has no intention of changing this habit. My being turned into a human form. He asked, how did Minhwa become his? Or did she agree on her own? At this point, Minhyuk interjected keyline, I don't really belong to you. However, she clearly stated that she is not part of Mobi's. At this moment, Mingyu's body began to convulse uncontrollably as if an invisible force had taken control. Her body, as if melting from the effort, was held only by an invisible support force. Hurry, Ming, eat this. The combination of Star Spirit Flower will instantly improve your condition. Ming took the Star Spirit Flower and began to chew it diligently. In a moment, she felt that her well-being had improved significantly. It was then that she noticed that Kaylin was injured by the Star Spirit Flower intended for. She emotionally began to tell what happened. After hearing the explanation, Minyu instantly realized everything. For now, the most important thing was to treat the wound, because time was running out in minutes. At first, she decided to apply methods of delusional treatment by collecting yellow celery that had incredible healing power. She lit a fire to boil water in preparation for the ritual with the yellow celery. She carefully added the herbs to the boiling water, watching as they slowly began to boil. Veterinarian Mobu noted with admiration that Minghua had even greater talent and skill than he himself. Mobu grabbed Minghua's hand without thinking. Can I become your apprentice? Mobu hoped. Even if I can't be his friend, at least as a student, I can embrace my master. Callian grabbed him by the ear. You stupid fox, stop sticking your nose into your business, he exclaimed, trying to hold his wily friend in place. At this moment, the Snow-White Bull suddenly jumped up. Congratulations! You have unlocked the plant guide function, she said happily. But as soon as she appeared, Mingay grabbed her, joyfully congratulating with the words, You finally appeared. The White Thicket immediately raised the white flag and admitted that it could not influence their decision. She had to activate this feature full of secrets and promises of incredible possibilities as soon as possible. When Mingyu touched her, the world froze. Her eyes flashed with surprise and hope. The guide is able to store and recognize plants with a huge capacity for a lot of information. Meanwhile, Reese was captured and imprisoned in a dark dungeon. A man with a sly expression crept inside under the cover of night. He mercilessly eliminated all the guards and bursting into the room announced, I am here to save you. Kayleen under a spell. There is a risk that he can carry out the execution. In search of safety, go to the fountain in the Kankita Desert. Your enemy, together with Kayleen, will surely give you shelter. Tell him Kayleen has acquired a rain goddess. He will surely come to possess her. The next morning, the three returned to the tribe. Their eyes are bright with determination, and their hearts are full of expectations. What has fate prepared for them this time? Enraged, they arrested his family, hoping to get the necessary information from them. But why should their family pay for his sins? When Kaylin's mother, who raised Reese, joined the case, she also took part of the responsibility for his mistakes. And now Kaylin, the mother who raised Reese, also takes part of the responsibility for his mistakes. Meanwhile, Kaylin and her daughter stood on the execution platform tied with ropes. The two lecherous men were glaring at Kaylin and her daughter like ravenous beasts on the hunt for their prey. At this moment, the man looked up. Now they will have to face the consequences of Reese's mistakes. From today, I mean they will go to a prison camp. Everyone can punish them. Let them become the mothers of your children. Minuet intervened decisively, interrupting their words with a short denial. At that moment, all eyes focused on Manuel, waiting for his reaction. The words rang out. She is a criminal who spilled all our water supplies. The guards arrested her and took her to a camp for imprisoned criminals. Kylan suddenly appeared on the horizon with a confident look ready to challenge. I wonder who will dare to oppose me, he said. Manfei issued an ultimatum to Minghua. Let it rain and bring us back the water, and then no one will get hurt. But Whitebold noted that the ability to cause rain is not an easy matter. Miguya pushed Kayleen away, who was preventing her from moving forward. She thought, looking up at the sky, I can make it rain in this town, but not now. In order to cause rain, you need to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. But after the last rain, this energy was exhausted and has not yet recovered. Who knows when you will recover? Do you want everyone around? Everyone around began to complain that water supplies are at the limit and no one is happy about the prospect of dying of thirst. At this moment, Kaylin rushed forward. While Mingyu causes the rain, I head to Izita for water. Kaylin boldly stated that he is sure that no one will be left without water. Are you ready to believe me? Confidence in a sufficient supply of water meant that all issues could be resolved without too much worry. I wondered why they opposed punishing the Reese family. After all, this is groundless and too cruel. The Reese family did nothing wrong. Manpheus denied that their nephew always punished in this way and asked what right they had to go against the tradition. Everyone unanimously expressed in the tribe that there are so few women. There is not even a chance to find normal couples. They finally had free women at their disposal. But are they not afraid that one terrible day of punishment may fall on their own heads? Mingyu felt something rise within her. I am a goddess, she realized. Heaven sent her to overturn the established order of things. How could she, just a woman, so easily declare that she is ready to punish everyone? Let them carry her children. Whoever commits wrongdoing should be caught and punished. Punished, but not by abusing women and children. Heaven sees your every move. At this moment, the female beastmen began to waver. Doubts clouded their thoughts, but the males were getting close to losing their females. One of them grabbed an axe, determination shining in his eyes. He threw the axe with force, which flew straight towards Mingyuva. The next moment, the axe is split by an arrow, crushing it into two parts. With anger in her heart, Kaylin pulled her axe out of the heat of battle. An arrow hit him in the thigh. This time, the arrow hit his thigh. Try again, and I promise the hit will be fatal. Due to the ignorance of our tribe, the heavenly energy is exhausted, which prevents the goddess from causing rain in time. The further they advanced, the thicker the fog became. He quickly grabbed Mina's hand. As the chief, he solemnly announced the abolition of the system of punishments for violators. From now on, each family is responsible only for its actions. Hands went up everywhere in support of the new decision. Then the mother and daughter are released, and they finally breathe freedom to their full chests. Mother and daughter were out of breath from tears of happiness. "Thank you, goddess," they said touchingly, feeling their long-awaited freedom. "If someone dares to tease you about Reese in the future, we will definitely teach them." Kaylin happily thought, "How many more Mingu Ed surprises are waiting for me?" Suddenly, a loud wailing was heard from far away. In the distance, they noticed a woman who was breathing hard and seemed to be having a seizure. The birth of a new life was inevitable. Minuar immediately expressed a desire to help, feeling compassion and determination awaken in her. Soon the silence of the village was broken by the screams of a woman. The shaman gently ran his hand over the woman's stomach, saying, "Heaven bless us. May our child be born safely." At that moment, the woman fainted from unbearable pain. Quickly gathering his strength around her, he gave her energy like a beacon of hope shining in a sea of despair. The shaman retreated, removing his hand. It seemed that the kid was not destined to be with their tribe. The shaman worriedly asked if the heavens had really cursed their tribe for denying them the blessing of newborns. The shaman weakly covered her with a white cloth, feeling hopeless. However, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs assured that there is still a chance for salvation. Moby quickly handed over to the Ministry of Finance energy herbs, less than animal hides and hot water. Everyone should act quickly as soon as the water breaks. A baby can easily suffocate. They have little time to do anything. Mo instantly ran outside, his hands spinning rapidly as if all actions were premeditated. Suddenly, the sky was torn apart by a fiery explosion that shook everything around. Everyone froze in shock. It turns out that Moby had the ability to command the forces of attraction. Those present realized with horror that an unequal battle awaited them. Everyone immediately turned to kneel, adoring the power of the goddess. They were detained by the MO, which suddenly stood up, completely diverting their attention to itself. The goddess entered into a battle with the heavens to save our newborn miracle. "Wake up, your child is waiting for you. You can't just pretend she needs you. When a person is unconscious, you can press on his philtrum." He began to gently massage the inner and outer corners of her eyes, trying to wake her up. Then he gently pressed the Baihui point, hoping for a miracle. He added some energizing herbs, hoping it would bring her out of her unconsciousness. Soon the woman began to slowly regain consciousness, moving her eyelids as if awakening her consciousness from a thick fog. Kaylin came back holding a basket full of bright, ripe fruit. The animal had already boiled the water, due to which the steam rose and dissipated in the air. The priest quickly took the hot water to rub her body to speed up the expansion of the MO, and used the massage of the corresponding points to help her relax and relieve the pain. Finally, the battle officially begins. Keelan tirelessly added hot water, creating an atmosphere of comfort and preparation before a grandiose battle. The shaman did not dare to stop even for a moment. He was accompanied by a single constant cry. A chubby boy was born. Feeling tears in her eyes, she said, "This is my child." Everyone around was completely exhausted from the experience. Fortunately, the birth of the child went well. Even the most ardent skeptics, feeling sincere reverence, began to apologize for their former distrust. Mingua, transported to this world, had never witnessed such a grand ceremony before. Mingua smiled slightly and called to get up. "Get up, I never blamed you." Although she remained calm on the outside, inside she was full of happiness. Her status suddenly skyrocketed, and she decided to protect him as best as possible. At that moment, the baby burst into tears. Migek quickly took the baby in her arms, gently rocking him. Carefully stroking the baby, Migek managed to make her cry fade away, giving way to silence and peace. Everyone looked at her with admiration. The expressive fire master creates brilliant sparks using a concave mirror while demonstrating other fascinating techniques. He suggested, "Do you want to learn? I can teach you." Everyone immediately raised their hands, competing for the opportunity to join the training. The shaman handed them a small knife to carve the methods on a stone slab so that everyone could study and learn every day. Mingyu quickly handed the baby to Kaylin for him to hold. Kaylin began to immerse himself in endless fantasies. Kaylin wondered if Mingyu and he could soon become the parents of a child of their own. Fire had many uses. It could be used to roast meat and boil water, which always came in handy for hiking and survival. Be sure that the stomach is not threatened by pain from raw meat or unsatisfied water when everything is cooked and boiled. This is a method of collecting water using solar distillation. Solar distillation has proven to be particularly effective for harvesting clean water. They invented healing with stones. It was a unique but effective solution. Finally, a stone was placed in the center of the leaf so that its curved shape directed the water drops directly into the vessel. Kaylin watched in amazement as the faceless leaves and pebbles created magic and the water just poured into the vessel. Minguire confidently noted that although the water collected is not much, it can be useful in emergency situations. He also carved out useful knowledge about how to take birth and care for women after childbirth, helping them recover from the difficult period of motherhood. Vetmo couldn't contain his excitement. Everyone joyfully applauded, chanting, "Long live the goddess! Long live the goddess!" Their voices filled the space, creating a wave of energy and excitement. Mingyo was happy in her heart. Knowledge of exact sciences gave her confidence that there is nothing wrong with moving between worlds. The higher the status of Mingyu rose, the more jealousy gripped Faye. When night fell, Mingyu lay on a stone bed, staring at a stone found in a dangerous place last time. She remembered the moments when she risked her life but obtained such a mysterious artifact. Suddenly, mysterious sounds rang out on the horizon, filling the air with an alarming echo. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she got up to investigate the source of the mysterious sounds. A large web suddenly rose into the air, creating an almost invisible curtain. Suddenly, a stranger in black clothes appeared from the shadows, holding a weapon in his hands. The stranger in black silently swung his weapon at Minghua. Meanwhile, Minghua quickly pulled out the dagger she always carried with her. With one swift movement, Minghua tore the net to pieces. Minghua landed heavily on the ground. Suddenly, a gust of wind tore off the cover from the moon. A mysterious male fairy appeared on the fly, hiding under cover. At first, his intention was only to distort and humiliate, depriving men of dignity. His secret is out. This world can no longer contain them both. Min Guek quickly grabbed a handful of stones ready for action. Min Guek violently threw a handful of stones directly into the human-like eyes in an attempt to stop the invisible enemy. She reached out her hand in a flash, trying to grab his palm. She skillfully completed the takeover by performing a dynamic throw over the shoulder. He felt no resentment against her, so he asked why she wanted to harm him. Suddenly, Kaylin came in after hearing a noise. He quickly donned the mask of the victim, accusing Minj of trying to kill him. Mingyu froze in shock. Who would have thought that Kaylin would believe Mingyu unconditionally? Mingyu gets up quickly, feeling the tension building. "You go, I'll handle it," Kaylin says firmly. Kaylin is ready for action. That man seemed to skillfully play the role of a traitor, pushing his acting skills to the limit. Kaylin slowly knelt down, remembering how she always considered her a real sister with whom they grew up next to. "No matter how hard you try, I will always remain someone who pampers and protects you." Sometimes when he made small mistakes, she always rushed to help to cover him. "Perhaps it was my indulgence that made you so unbridled." However, the man's face seemed to continue to insist that Mingyu was trying to kill her. When Kellen saw the network nearby, she immediately understood. "Isn't this the technique that I personally showed you? Do all these things belong to her, and why are your footprints in the basement? I hope you will confess honestly." She understood that her plan was revealed. Manpheus tried to remove all responsibility from himself by transferring it to others. That day, Reese accidentally spilled water in the basement, and that was the beginning of the impenetrable chaos. He threatened me with instant death if I even told anyone. He also threatened to put all the responsibility on Minghua if anything went wrong. He had no choice but to obey the demands made to him. Hearing this, he decided that there were no excuses left. He had to apologize to Mingyu, admit the truth to the whole tribe, and promise not to repeat it again. "Otherwise, you are no longer my sister." Manfei was forced to humbly apologize to Mingge. Manfei apologized to Mingge, but her behavior was far from sincere. Who would have thought that Manpheus would simply fall to his knees begging for forgiveness? Mingyu decided to accept the apology for Kaylin's sake. His task was to monitor the transport team that accompanied the valuable cargo with water. The next morning, the two heroes hurried to the road, preparing everything necessary for the dangerous journey. Kailin instantly turned into a huge lion, allowing Mingyu to ride him. Mingyu was delighted. Who would have thought that one day he would get the chance to ride a real lion? Mingyu held his breath, mesmerized by the splendor of the lion's mane. The silk texture and the lion's thick tail added even more majesty to the scene. Mingyu inhaled the air, feeling its powerful energy in every cell. Lying on top, he felt incredible comfort and happiness. He mentally shouted with delight. I love it. I want to lie like this all day. Kalen began to blush as Mingyu Wek continued to gently touch his sensitive areas. Mingyu Wek looked at him inseparably, emphasizing that after the conversation he would not be able to let go. The determination in his voice left no doubt about the sincerity of his intentions. They soon reached IZDA. Ming was immediately fascinated by the prosperity that reigned around him. Ming confronted the spontaneous crowd, instantly apologizing. Sorry for bumping into you. He tried to navigate among the noisy people, becoming even more fascinated by the surrounding life. But Beastman instantly blushed. Man-Beast was burning with thoughts of such a beautiful woman he would like to have only for himself. Sorry, but the context is not clear from this fragment. Can you provide more information or the next fragment to improve the text? Hearing these words, all the strong men one by one began to compete for her affection. Mingyo immediately answered the wife's children on all fronts, and you still run after someone else's skirt. Isn't it a shame? After her words, she was suddenly pulled into a tight hug. This is my woman. Everyone else stand aside, a loud voice rang out, filling the space. Kylie stayed away, resisting all attempts to get closer. Meanwhile, the manager of the fair came to the square to collect the fee for the seats. Xian complained about bad things, intending to use the magic stones to improve the situation. Xian complained about the rising rent, but the market master rudely sent him away. Xian flew several yards, feeling the force of the shock as if he had been caught in a powerful hurricane. Suddenly, Mingyu flew by like lightning. She noticed stones falling right in front of her as if someone had thrown them into the air. Looking more closely, she understood whether it was the legendary pigeon egg. She quickly rushed to help Xiana, trying to keep her hands from shaking. Who would have thought that the master of the market dreams of Mingya? Fortunately, Kalen managed to arrive in time and break his arm in the fight. And with incredible force, Kalen sent the opponent flying as if he had turned into a projectile flying through the air. He jumped to his feet and rushed away, throwing over his shoulder. Wait, I'll report this to the Lord. Cedar quickly disappeared from sight, but Kalen remained completely calm. Nothing could shake his confidence. He traded the animal skin for a diamond from Xian, staring into the glittering stone that intertwined with the life hidden deep within, all for the sake of winning Mingyu's favor. At that moment, the water carriers of the tribe were approaching the village. Their faces were shining with pride for their important mission. At this moment, Mingyu realized that Manfei was absent from the group. It took a few minutes for Mingyu to realize that Zeta, who played the role of Manfei, had long since separated from the group. At that time, Manfei came across Reese, convincing him to get rid of Mingyu. Reese leisurely heading to Manfei. Rizu Manfei persistently declared his desire to have this woman. He understood that objection would be superfluous here. He brought her here as an officer and offered an exquisite gift to his lord. Meanwhile, Cullen has stocked up on water and is ready to leave. The market master managed to bring people back by causing excitement in the crowd. Kellen confidently declared that he would handle it and called to meet at the IZTA later. They soon found themselves in front of Kellen. Capture it and present it to Lord City as a token of true devotion. Hearing this, everyone rushed at Kellen with spears, identifying him as a target for their attacks. Kalen calmly instantly drew his dagger, his eyes shining with determination in the sea of threats. Immediately, everyone fell to the ground as if mowed down by a storm. Kellen rushed forward like a storm, heading towards the target with immeasurable power. His sister was now in the hands of Lord Sita. He carefully took her hands and took out the green stone she had with her. Meanwhile, Minghua and the others had been waiting for quite some time. Shifting impatiently from foot to foot, they discussed possible courses of action, waiting for any sign or news. Kelly never returned. Suddenly, a voice sounded from behind, disturbing the gloomy calm. The neighborhood was filled with fear. Mingov covered himself with sweat from terror, feeling his heart pounding in his chest. In the next moment, Reese dragged her into a gloomy dungeon and the door clicked with a lock, cutting off the way to freedom. She discovered that the young diamond merchant from the market was also trapped here. Xian asked, I am Xian, and who is the man who was with you? Mingguire instantly shuddered with anxiety, his thoughts raging with questions. How is Kalen feeling at this moment? Sorry, but I can't view the content of the comic or the fragment itself. 517. Maybe you mean something else? He gently nudged her, telling her not to be afraid to go forward first. He cut the vines intertwining the door and showed her the way to freedom. A white-tailed magpie smoothly and deftly flaps its wings, small enough to fly out of an open window. The magpie noticed that numerous guards are on duty outside the windows. Even with a cunning escape plan, the fugitives can easily be caught again. It was at this moment that she suddenly noticed a cactus in the dungeon. Soon all matters were completed. Cactus needles soaked in tur solution lay on the ground, emitting a mysterious glow. The needles emitted not only light, but also a mysterious power capable of causing hallucinations and a sedative effect. She aimed confidently at the guards. The guards only felt a slight itch, unaware of the impending death trap. Xian was stunned by what he saw. Soon both fugitives disappeared from sight, leaving behind only footprints in the sawdust. However, the fugitives heard the news that Lord Kadar had captured the daughter of the former chief from Malia. Mingu heard the news and exclaimed, "Isn't it Faye? How could she end up in Cadusa?" Holding hands. "Is it because of her that Kaelin is late?" Xian pointed to a dog hole through which you can escape. "We need to get out of here quickly," he said, feeling the tension in the air. But Mingyo held fast to his doubt. "You go first, Zion," he remarked. "I still have things to do." "Are you going to save Malia?" "I will go with you." One more person. One more share of energy. Two brave men wandered through the corridors of the majestic palace. It is at this moment that the secret door opens. Behind the door opened a terrible picture of a group of very exhausted women who could barely stay on their feet. Ming freed all of Sedar's concubines. When the last door slowly opened, Ming secretly released the poisonous needles of the cactus into the air, causing dizziness. However, for Tsita, it was only a slight itch. The rest of the poisonous properties did not affect her. Removing the thorns, he said with admiration, "So you are the goddess of rain. That's why you can serve me along with Manfei?" He said, smiling as if his wishes had come true. Kadar caught him effortlessly. "He likes strong women, serve me well, and your fate will be less cruel." He smiled, hinting at his conditions. At that moment, Kaelin suddenly burst into the room. Kaelin appeared like a whirlwind and shouted emphatically, "Get your filthy hands off Mingua." Despite the fact that Cedar was pressed to the ground, there was no trace of fear on his face. Even a carefully planned torture chamber could not contain him. Kaelin signaled the team to flee immediately. The team rushed to the exit, trying to leave the dangerous place as soon as possible. But suddenly there is an obstacle that blocks their way to escape. Seeing this, Sidar immediately stopped in place as if petrified. Cedar instantly transformed into a beast face and rushed into battle with Kaelin. Despite the fact that his heart was full of darkness, his face looked almost innocent and charming. "If you comply and Lord Cedar is done with you, I may reluctantly take you under my wing." But Minguware suddenly intervened in the conversation. Minguware resolutely stated that he knew about her attempt to harm him and that it was up to him to decide how to deal with her. He not only protects Manu Fei, but also fights for the rights of women oppressed by men. Manu Fei, hiding behind Mingay, could not hold back her tears of emotion. However, Reese had his own plan. He wanted to capture Ming to hand over to Lord Kedar instead of supporting Manu Fei's ideas. There was a continuous struggle when everyone tried to win in his own way. Reese also transformed into his beast form, becoming an even more dangerous opponent in the senseless battle. With one flick of his tail, he tossed Kian away like a toy, leaving him powerless before the beast's fury. He ordered his subordinates to capture the two remaining girls. He rushes uncontrollably and picks up Y as if not feeling his fatigue. He prepared to make Zion his appetizing start to the meal. Ming Yue couldn't help but watched helplessly as Xian became prey for a formidable attacker. At the moment when the strike happened, Nguyen's lightning skill was on recovery after using it, leaving her defenseless. Mingyu quickly ordered to use lightning to attack the opponent regardless of the risk. But activation required a kiss with a girl and only male guards were standing nearby, so it was impossible to implement now. Mingyu closed her eyes and plunged into the world of imagination. After finishing, Mingyu focused her energy, creating a lightning ball. Mingyu summoned the lightning, shouting, "Hear my call." The next moment, lightning struck Reese directly in the forehead. Reese fell to the ground in a cloud of smoke. The subordinates suddenly fell, riddled with enemy arrows that stuck in their bodies. Looking more closely, it became clear that it was the same girl she saved. The warriors fired arrows simultaneously as if merged into a single force. All of Sita's subordinates fell to the ground pierced by arrows. On the opposite side of the arena, a piece of meat from Kaelin's body lay separately, reflecting the tension of the battle. The lightning skill was still in a recovery state, waiting for its time to be used. Sadas suddenly panicked. How could this woman know about his weakness? In this moment of confusion, Kaelin saw an opportunity for action. Kaelin attacked decisively, biting Sidar on the back. With little effort, she snapped it off. Cedar instantly lost his resistance and fell to the ground. Kaylin was seriously wounded, which led her to lose consciousness. Despair gripped everyone around. Mingu immediately rushed to check on Kaylin's injuries. The numerous wounds were a cause for concern, but luckily, none of them were life-threatening. After being seriously injured, Sid will not be able to chase us. It's time to find a safe place to recover. She methodically applied her own homemade medicine to heal Kaylin's wounds. Kaylin winced in pain, his face showing every sharp edge of suffering. Mingyuai began to scold herself. "I'm sorry, did I hurt you?" Her voice trembled with guilt. She quickly tried to collect her thoughts. "Please bear with me for a while, I will finish soon," she said out of an abyss of tension. At that moment, Kaylin slowly opened her eyes. But Mingyu didn't have the strength, I quickly reassured her. "We are safe now. Don't worry." But why was he covered in wounds when he assured her? He was caught by Sita, and he wanted to save her but fell into a trap. However, breaking out of it, he hurried to find her. Mina feigned anger to push them into action. Kaylin hurriedly explained, "You are the most important, but Manfei Elder saved me and I couldn't ignore her." Hearing this, Minghua looks pleased. She was only joking. She wasn't angry. Watching his energy, she felt relieved. It's only natural that you rushed to save Manfei when Sita captured her. I understand I would have done the same. Manfei plunged into deep thought. How many times have I heard her, but she still came to save me? There were rumors that she carefully searched the rooms to find me. Suddenly, the air was filled with a pleasant aroma that was gently flowing around. The juicy meat was ready. The aroma of the ruddy crust rose in the air, whetting the appetite. She quickly called Manfei to come to the table because the juicy meat was already waiting for the requests of Xian and Montitouge. She added loudly, enlivening the atmosphere with her energy. Although her face expressed reluctance, her body hurried to call everyone. Everyone admired Minyu's fried meat, calling it a real delicacy. The Minyu assured that the taste of the meat would be even better if the mayor added his unique seasoning to history. By the way, during these 2 days while you were unconscious, Kayleen gathered valuable information from Xian and Montai about what we see on the way. There is probably a Grand Canyon in the southwest. Perhaps there will be new sources of water. Upon hearing this news, Kaylin immediately perked up. If a new source of water is found, not only Malia, but also the entire West Hallowwood will receive significant benefits. Kaylin's renewed energy was delightful to watch. Manfei will return to the tribe to organize the water supply. Zion had not been home for many days. It was time to return to his native shores. Kaylin and Mingu went into the canyon in search of water sources. Mingu picked up the stone, feeling its cold and rough surface. Mingu unfolded the map and saw a desert swamp in front of her. As she had predicted, there was a rich source of water hiding underground, turning the desert into an oasis. It seemed that a whole river of life-giving water was hidden under a thin layer of sand. Due to the mixing of sand and water, once you get inside, it becomes extremely difficult to get out. Every step seems to lead you deeper into a trap of a desert trap. When Cullen heard about the existence of water, he wanted to get it. Hearing that there was underground water here, Cullen assumed that there must be rivers nearby. He decided to move on, determined to find the healing moisture. He has asthma, so he needs to get out of here soon. Finally, half an hour later, they broke free, leaving the danger zone far behind. But suddenly, Kaylin felt weak and fainted. "Stay here and wait for me. I'll be back soon," he said. Having no choice but to leave her alone in this dangerous place, Minghua was left alone, striding confidently deep into the dark forest. Finally, she found rare herbs that could neutralize the poison. Behind her, a rustling was suddenly heard, as if someone was making their way through the thickets. She quickly turned around as a huge python suddenly darted out of its thickets. Mingyues instantly screamed in terror. She began to beg, trembling. She didn't know that these were your possessions. She didn't want to offend. "Please don't punish me." It turned out that the scales were stuck and had been in this state for quite some time. Mr. Python was in a desperate situation and ready to listen to any advice I have a way to help you successfully. Molt offered the young scientist, eyeing the snake warily. "But you must promise not to harm me." Then she wrapped herself around the branch without wasting time and lowered her lower body down, hanging like a chandelier on a tree. Minyu noticed how Python needed her help with shedding his skin. Minyu got water to ease Python's pain. Soon, the old skin of the python softened in preparation for easy removal. She readily offered, "I'll help remove the old skin." You take a decisive leap forward. The python skillfully shed the old skin, leaving it on the ground angrily defying the future. After the metamorphosis, he turned into a beautiful naked man, shining with new skin, like a brilliant statue that has come to life. Mingu immediately ran up and covered her eyes with his hands, preventing her from seeing. Snakeman carefully lifted Mingu like a twig. Why did he close his ears? Are you afraid of my eyes? Do you think that I will eat you? Don't worry, I'm not interested in the weak. He wondered what his life would be like if he became her protector for life like a knight in shining armor. Minge waved her hands wildly in denial. It was only a minor favor. No need to thank me for your presence. She saw someone who needed help and helped without thinking long. Since the case was completed, she decided that it was time to move on with her own affairs. But he suddenly grabbed her hand. He insisted. No, I promised to thank you, and I will. There are many beasts around if you need to go. Let me accompany you. Mingu told how she saved a beautiful snake, but now it became her burden and asked what to do in such an urgent situation. The medicine was carefully poured down Kalen's throat, but it was difficult for her to swallow. Hammer examined Kalen from head to toe. So this is your husband? So weak that he needs your rescue. Suddenly, Kalen opened her eyes wide as if she sensed danger. Kalen hugged Mingyu tightly and assured him that she was safe and ready to move on. Mingyu thought. He promised Kalen to protect her, but ironically found himself under her protection. Mingyu reassured Kalen by assuring that I'm not a weakling. I don't like to be a fragile flower. Mingyu coughed in discomfort. Kalen finally noticed the stranger in the corner of the room. He cautiously pushed Mingyu behind his back. Who are you? He asked with a hint of suspicion in his voice. He snorted coldly. The situation got out of control. Minguner awkwardly stood between them, trying somehow to calm the tension in the air. We are all on the same side, so it is worth finding a common language. Kaolin quickly pulled Mingyu to safety, deciding to prevent a conflict. She knew that their paths diverge. You are my ally. He and I are not playing on the same side. Their efforts were united as two parts of a single whole. She pulled Mingyu through her determination, and he supported her with faith and strength. He is incapable of protecting her and certainly not worthy of being her partner. Minge was in the middle of the action, helplessly trying to hide his embarrassment. Minge muttered under his breath as he felt the tension rising. If they kept pulling him in different directions, he wouldn't be able to stay on either side. He realized that he could find a common language with Mingyue and decided to act accordingly. Looking at his face, he decided to compromise and try to find a common language with this weakling. It is better that there should be water sources ahead. They decided to continue their journey, hoping that luck would smile on them. Soon a picturesque waterfall cascade sprung up ahead. Minger exclaimed in delight that the waterfall was incredibly beautiful. Mingu Ashili admitted that he had not bathed for several days and felt discomfort. He decided to go to the waterfall to refresh himself. Both boys had a common goal to move forward. They decided to support each other to ensure a calm and safe way to the waterfall. The water was so refreshing and cool that every drop from the waterfall sent shivers of joy down their skin. Kalen and Yura plunged into the melody of water streams that filled their imagination with lively images. Suddenly, footsteps were heard that echoed around, filling the air with echoes and anxiety. Suddenly, two unfamiliar men appeared, surveying the situation around them. Konard Kalen and Yura reminded that this is their territory, and all the men who appear here belong to their leader. They remembered the fight with a group of bulls near the waterfall. Everyone attacked together, trying to grab them to give to our leader. Meanwhile, Ming Yui was carelessly humming the melody, enjoying a moment of peace amidst the dynamic scene around her. Ye continued the melody with ease, not noticing that she had become a target. Suddenly, she noticed a man peeking out from behind the rock in surprise. She asked loudly, "Who is there? I have two companions." However, while looking at the male, his attention was distracted by a bright view that attracted the eye with its unique beauty. He defiled the sacred source of our tribe by bathing in it. And now he still wants to drive her away? If someone needs to call someone, she can call more people. However, given your attractiveness, I can try to convince my older sister to forgive your actions. Don't come close. Kaylin sensed the danger of someone suspicious here. They soon overcame this herd of buffaloes together. Soon Mingyu appeared, his voice echoing like a cry for help. A man lay motionless on the top of the rock. Kaylin squeezed his neck, forcing him to focus all his attention on his reaction. So it was you who mocked Mingwa? Where is he now? The little animal struggled frantically, trying to get out. Let me out. How dare you treat me like this? Are you tired of living dangerously? Kellen casually tossed the little beast into the river, watching as it plunged into the raging current with splashes. Chano quickly hugged Manya, reassuring her. Everything is fine, he said. I threw this brat into the water. When Manya said exactly how she wanted to punish the abuser, he promised to make him feel the consequences for abusing you. Mingu just smiled and said, okay. Suddenly, an alligator emerged from the dark depths, cutting through the waves of the water with its mighty power. Mingu exclaimed with delight that it was a huge Nile crocodile. Behind them appears a Nile crocodile, an aggressive and cruel beast. Although that boy was a little rude, he does not deserve to die. Mingu asks for mercy for him. Hearing this, the boy dived into the water like a dove. How tired he was of all this. In the water, the Nile crocodile opened its bloody mouth ready to swallow the little beast boy. But Yura suddenly attacked him like lightning in the night sky. The little beast boy tightly hugged Yura as if his life would stop in this hug. Suddenly, a pack of Nile crocodiles emerged from the darkness, snapping their massive bodies like lightning. You have to be careful. How can such a small reservoir contain so many crocodiles? The little beastman was completely confused, panicking. Oh no, I told you the water was dangerous. This is the end. This is the end. We will surely die this time. Minge worried that all was lost with such a crowd of crocodiles. Yora would not be able to defeat them. Even if Kylan is strong in battle, he has lived on land all his life and probably cannot swim. Lin Minyu kept calm and urged others to do the same. If we can't win by force, let's use strategy. Quickly, what are the weaknesses of crocodiles? He reminded Cylon. Right eye. Their weakness lies in the eyes. The most vulnerable place of crocodiles is the eyes. Attack them there. It was at this moment that she saw a heron. Nile crocodiles and herons have a symbiosis. If a heron's nest is found, it will be possible to find the place where the crocodiles are hiding. There is only one way to salvation. Kayleen ponders. I need your help, Kayleen. An appeal to the subconscious sounds in her thoughts like a whisper that awakens inner strength. Kaylin rushes forward in time to catch a glimpse of the sandpipers. If Kaylin finds the clover's nest, it will open the way to the crocodile's nest. This time of year is the crocodile spawning period. If you find their eggs, you can blackmail the Nile crocodiles into stopping the attacks. Soon they came to a small stream. They decided to split up. One went to the left and the other to the right in order to cover as much territory as possible and quickly assess the situation. Nearby, they noticed a mound strewn with dried grass and leaves. The mound they came across turned out to be a nest of crocodiles. These cunning creatures know how to disguise their eggs among the mounds. Soon, Kaylin was the first to come across crocodile eggs carefully camouflaged among tall grasses and tussocks. Kaylin suddenly shouted, attracting Mingyu's attention. I think I found them. Meanwhile, Yura bravely competed with a living Nile crocodile, holding on confidently. Yura was left alone, tirelessly fighting against numerous Nile crocodiles who were not going to retreat. Suddenly, Mingyu rushed up with crocodile eggs in his hands. The Nile crocodiles fell silent, overcome by instincts to protect their eggs. The crocodiles did not like swimming. Their attention was focused on the egg clutches that were recklessly left on the shore. Mingyua quickly rushed forward. Yuro, are you okay? She asked, alarmed. Everything is okay. Are you in any pain? It was then that the small animal noticed how the Nile crocodiles were preparing for a new attack. Inside is a Sheik tribe preparing for battle. The little beastman held back his anger. Although they threw him into the water, saving him was the right thing to do. However, when she saved him, she looked like a real heroine. The little beastman was fascinated by her beauty and courage. He felt how much he liked his savior. Beastman saw the sincerity in her eyes and understood. You can stay here as long as you want, sounded like a real invitation to a new life. At that moment, a group of female beasts approached them. The deputy said that these two men were guilty. The female beasts looked at the men with anger. They beat us and now the brave are coming to their death, said one of them, craving justice. Kayleen and Yura looked around in confusion, trying to understand who these strangers were before them. Deputy leader, you must find justice for us. The little beast quickly stepped forward, trying to calm the crowd. There is nothing to fear here. It is not enemies. I invited them to visit. They became friends with foreigners who attacked our tribes. They eat with us and later help them. Someone must catch these aliens and avenge our fellow tribesmen. Mingyu looked around in confusion. How did it happen that the quarrel turned into a fight almost instantly? At the signal, everyone rushed forward, rushing into the maelstrom of events. Mingyu thought for a moment, lost in his thoughts. Mingyu suddenly stopped as if pressing a pause button in his thoughts. Everyone around froze as if time had stopped. Mingyu pulled out a bundle of tender grass from his pocket. "We really didn't mean to fight," he said, trying to get his peace proposal across. Small horses simply adore tender, juicy grass. At that moment, a loud appeal rang out from the far corners and everyone instantly froze, listening to the unexpected sound. Everyone was stunned when they saw her. She was the leader. Her presence seemed to attract attention, leaving a strong impression on everyone present. Almost in the room, a real commotion erupted, caused by excited whispers and surprised shouts. "What is going on there that everyone gathered so quickly?" Keelan was the first to speak at the waterfall. "Why were we suddenly attacked by your tribe? What are the reasons for this attack?" They only defended themselves. But now they are asking why the tribe is preparing for retaliation? The subordinates quickly explained to the leader that they saw two impressive men and wanted to detain them in his honor. These words became the reason for punishment from the leader because they were too reckless. He was able to quickly dodge attacks. "What exactly do you want?" He came specially to apologize. "Heard you saved Munchie. Stay, let us show our hospitality." The deputy leader pointed to the Ministry of Youth, inciting indignation. "Are we going to let them insult our people so easily?" Vice Leader Kim angrily exclaimed, "Don't you see who is right and who is guilty? It was ours who provoked them first. Lost in battle, but I still have a desire for revenge. Men, I do not try to take away. You three follow me. Give us a chance to show your hospitality." Kaylin and Yura look around in disbelief. "Isn't this a trap?" Mingyu Si scratched her head in confusion and thanked Leader Bevay while choosing her words. Feeling a glimmer of hope, Mingyu S decided to believe in the goodness of this world, because important matters required joint efforts. They watched the retreating figures, feeling the hope for a better future grow stronger in their hearts. They brutally beat him, and how can it be left like that? Since they are here, it is time to take revenge on them carefully and carefully. His home was very close by. He offered guests to stay in an empty stone room located next to his residence. At that moment, a little girl ran up to them, calling loudly for Brother Munchie. Manchi bent down and picked up the little girl who was beaming with joy at meeting him. Manchi introduces everyone to the little girl. "This is my sister Man. You can call her Little Yao." Mingyu gently stroked Little Yao's face. She was so sweet and obedient that he couldn't help but smile. Watching this, Kaylin fell into sweet dreams. He knew that Ming adored children and decided that one day he would give her a whole brood of babies. Suddenly, Little Yao began to cough. The little girl fell ill again. The fever did not let her go. Concerned in the eyes of the adults pointed to one thing: urgently return her home. Let her rest. Mingyu was excited. What happened to the baby that worries everyone around? Mingyu couldn't understand what was happening. Many people in their tribe had a strange illness. At first, it was a simple cough, but then a high fever appeared that covered the whole body. Monchi's parents died of this disease. And recently, Little Yao suddenly started coughing and had a high fever. Mingyu was stunned. A mysterious disease had taken over most of the tribe. Was it anthrax? The girl was burning with heat and was completely powerless, barely able to stay on her feet. Minghua quickly asked about Little Yao's initial symptoms and who she often came in contact with. Little Yao got sick about 10 days ago. She developed a cough and a fever. Most of the time, she stays at home talking to her sister and only occasionally contact me. Mingwei remembered West saying, "Your father died of an epidemic." May I ask approximately when that happened? When did he leave this world? It's been over a year since Little Yao was born when they left this world. The disease is easily transmitted, but why are there so many sick people in this tribe? Mingyu F found 2 medicinal herbs that can help the tribe in the fight against an unknown disease. Mingyu F discovered 2 plants with fever-reducing and cough-suppressing properties. He decided to collect them to return with a valuable potion for the tribe. He has not yet found a cure. Only these plants temporarily relieve the symptoms of fever and cough. So far, Manchi squeezed Mingyu's hand tightly. "Thank you, sister. I'm going to look for them now." He decided with determination. The leader, with a serious expression, noted that all these people were her guests, and she was the one who should entertain them. Meanwhile, he promised to send people to search. At that moment, Munchie came with a plate of delicious food, promising to support the tired guests. Appearing with a plate of wild fruits, Manchi winked and offered, "Try these wild fruits. They taste amazing." Mingyue carefully looked at the fruits, appreciating their unusualness and multicolor. Mingyu continued to examine the fruit with doubt, narrowing his eyes. "I wonder where they were collected near the swamp. Do you often taste them?" he asked warily. Once he saw these horned melons at the edge of the swamp, but a thick miasma reigned there. Someone warned that these horned melons that grow here are most likely poisoned by miasma toxins. Manchi smiled carelessly. "Yes, these fruits are gathered near the swamp. They only grow there, but there are not so many of them." He did not dare to eat them, saving them for little Job. Kaylin carefully opened the shell, preparing to taste its contents. However, Kellen's joy was quickly stopped by Mingua raising her hand. "I think I know the cause of little Job's illness," she said confidently. "These fruits are associated with the causes of disease. They contain a small amount of miasma that will eventually manifest symptoms if consumed excessively. There are 2 more medicinal potions in stock that helped Kaylin in the fight against asthma. However, this is all just speculation. I am not 100% sure that I will be able to cure Malayao because she is so young." Kaylin patted Minyu's shoulder gently, trying to cheer her up. They need to talk to their leader and let her decide everything. A small group decides to change tactics. Instead of inaccessible melons, there will be fish for lunch. Someone jokingly says, "Better to catch a wide fish, it is more filling." Minuya asked suspiciously, "When did you catch the fish? Isn't it already at the waterfall?" He smiled mysteriously. "I have my own tricks. As long as you are with me, hunger and cold are not scary for us." He does not want to be like those who do nothing. Hearing this, Kaylin and Manchi immediately set out to find food for Minghua. The next day, everyone found an incomparable leader. These herbs can indeed save many of the tribe, but it is not known whether the mysterious disease is precisely caused by the fruits that caused asthma. Kalina came up with the idea to involve others in the drug trial, realizing that it carries certain risks. The leader quickly agreed and went in search of those willing to try new drugs. This was overheard by members of the tribe hidden in the corner. It seemed that the search for those willing to try new drugs could become an opportunity for revenge. In half an hour, the leader returned with a volunteer. Of all those present, only Debian agreed to try the new medicine. Debian felt that he had been ill for a long time and maybe he didn't have much left. But if he was able to help the tribe, it would allow him to leave without regret. The tribesmen also supported Debian, believing in his success. "If they dare to kill you, we will certainly not let them go unpunished," echoed loyally from the crowd. Mingyu has prepared a healing decoction. It is created on the basis of cleansing herbs, so the healing effect will quickly set in like magic. When Vienna tasted the soup with pleasure, she wondered what else she could do to improve her own well-being. The next moment, he suddenly spat out blood. He suddenly lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Taking care of his comrade, Dubian was instantly worried, feeling the danger. "I said that you have bad intentions," he said, trying to understand the situation. "What did you give my brother to eat? How could he cough up so much blood? Someone arrest these 3 murderers immediately so they get their just punishment." Minghua wondered in confusion whether she had guessed wrongly about the reason, and the medicine she gave had caused a contradiction with the real illness. She noticed that the color of the blood was wrong. Fresh blood should be bright red, but here it is already dark red. This made her suspicious. She decided to take another look at Dibby's condition. Her intuition told her that things might not be as they seem at first glance. Dibby is confused. "Do you see how my brother is doing now and you still want to check?" she said with anxiety in her voice. The leader must punish them, mercilessly seek justice for his brother. Otherwise, he is not worthy to lead us. Kellen expressed the opinion that if Ming USA indicates a problem, then it must exist. Your mysterious behavior indicates a guilty conscience. Yura immediately offered to capture him so that Mingguar could carefully study the situation. At this moment, the nephews rushed at Kylene, but all without exception were defeated, as if they had encountered an invisible obstacle. So how do you deal with guests? Boldly attack again, but remember that you were and will be defeated. The leader expertly cracked the whip, making everyone freeze. She promised to thoroughly understand the situation and provide a convincing explanation to everyone. At this moment, Monchi brought little Yao forward. Elder sister, no need to investigate. I already know the truth. It was just a play directed by brothers Dulong and Dubien. Monchi was openly accused of lying. Isn't it obvious that he has feelings for that girl? Ming saw the brightness of little Yao's eyes. It seems that the two herbs for fever and to suppress cough worked effectively. Manchi saw that little Yao not only regained her cheerfulness, but also that her illness seemed to have completely receded. While the sister was preparing the medicine, little Yao sneaked up and drank the whole bowl without leaving a trace of her prank. After a short sleep, Yao woke up with her strength fully restored. Dan Lung exploded with anger, roaring loudly. He realized that in front of him were those people who are trying to cover up the three foreigners with their show. Regardless of whether we put on a show or you let Mingyu take a look and everything will be clear. Send Dubin faster. As soon as Cullen appeared, Dulong felt anxiety creep over him. Cullen's every move radiated an unwavering confidence that oppressed and stopped Dulong's thoughts. Dubien, lying on the ground, quickly got up. This has nothing to do with me. This is all my brother ordered me to do. He excused himself. The other beastmen finally got their bearings, turning to him. Why are you waiting so long? Explain what is happening here. At this moment, Minghua pointed to the bloodstains on the ground. It turns out you never drank that potion, did you? And this blood created from the blood of other animals is hidden in the tooth cavity to simulate that you spit it out. Duobin quickly lowered his head. Did you even guess that I'm sorry I shouldn't have done that? Please forgive me. Be generous and give me another cup of medicine. I'm really sick, the leader asked with a stern expression. How much longer do I have to wait for a reasonable explanation? Because of you, the tribe almost lost its chance to heal. What kind of punishment do you deserve? As soon as the plan was revealed, he could not believe what had happened. How is this possible? How could these foreigners? At that moment, the leader gave the order to immediately arrest him and throw him behind bars. Thanks to little Yao's bold experiment with medicine, the situation was resolved quickly and without unnecessary expenditure of resources and manpower. The leader apologized to Minghua, admitting his mistake. I was not competent enough to almost falsely accuse you. Thank you for your willingness to develop a cure for our tribe. Minuet blushed in embarrassment, scratching her head. Don't thank me. Actually, I had my benefits when I was developing medicine for the tribe, because Monchi told me that the waterfall is your sacred spring. I hope you will let us draw water from there. He reasoned that there will always be other ways to trade with them, but you don't have to do it. Minu emphasized that she was also a part of the tribe, so she asked if she could do something important for her people. Her gaze was full of determination. Kellen suddenly realized that Minyu said that she is also a member of the tribe. Does this mean that she is ready to become his chosen one and make Malia her home? Biovar represented the tribe in the negotiations when it was decided that Mingyu's request for water would be granted. Within the territory for which I am responsible, Malia received unquestionable permission to draw water from the holy spring. But it seems to me that this is not enough. After all, she solved the problem of the tribe's mysterious disease and saved so many people. Why not hand her some letters? If you don't like any of them, there's always Manchi. Yes, he's a little young, but he has potential and a lot of vitality. Hearing this, Manchi exclaimed with hope, Sestro! Ming was trapped between Kylene and Yura on one side and Manchi on the other. If this whole situation was about getting the horses back for their care, it would be quite a nice task. Then Kaylin and Yura again began to see a conflict between themselves, turning every meeting into a heated competition. And Mabai is still patiently waiting for him, ready for new adventures. Just remembering it, he feels his head fill with heaviness. Better to forget, he thought, nodding gratefully for the kindness of his friends. Although Manchi and the rest of his tribe are good guys, I don't need their help right now. The leader immediately pulled Manchi back, noticing her mood. If Mingyua doesn't need us, I won't impose. But in a few days, we have a big male tribal duel. It will be very exciting. I hope you stay to watch. Mingyu looked confused. What is this big men's duel? Little Yao explained that every summer in their tribe, the men arrange duels. The winners get the privilege of being chosen by women. When Yao grows up, she will also choose among the winners of the great duel. Mingyu looked at Kaylin with hope. It sounds interesting. I want to go see it, he said excitedly. In his world, stallions also compete for the heart of the chosen one. Mingyu always dreamed of seeing these sights, but ended up here without realizing his dream. Kayleen said with tenderness in her eyes that they would stay for a few more days. At that time, the prison door burst into pieces with a roar. A magical figure appeared in front of the prison, as if emerging from the smoke and chaos. Dulong was full of excitement, as was typical of him. Deputy, how did you end up here? The improbability of the meeting confused him. The deputy gently stroked Dulong's cheeks. "Don't be afraid. I have come to set you free. Despite the fact that the leader is my niece, she must honor me. Moreover, these foreigners will eventually leave us, so there is no point in worrying about them. In 2 days at the Great Postal Duel, you will compete for the first place. Become a worthy postal courier for me." Du replied confidently, "I will try my best. I will not fail your expectations." Vice leader. After 2 days, all the men gathered together. Minghua was beaming with joy, enjoying the energy around her. The day seemed particularly lively and eventful. One of the warriors looked at Ming a little sheepishly. Was she the one who developed the cure for our tribe's mysterious disease? She is so stunningly beautiful. If only she took part in choosing a couple, I would make every effort to be chosen by her. Kayleen felt helpless because the Mingavars were too popular. Little Yao ran up to Mingawara with a flower in her hands and told sister it was a flower for Yubei. Mingavari quickly accepted the flower handed to her by little Yao. "Thank you, Yao," she replied with a smile. The presenter made his opening speech with passion. After inviting the women with desert roses, he asked them to take their seats in a special area and watch the skill of the duelists to choose their favorite. Mingya looked at the flower in her hand with surprise. "I can't choose a husband," she said excitedly. "Little Yao, I can't accept this flower." Little Yao straightened up and looked at his sister. "If you accept the flower, you can't return it. You will have to choose one of the contestants to give it." "Of course, only the top 3 can get it." Little Yao quickly pulled Mingyu's hand. "Come on, it's time for us to rush to the special inspection area to select the best applicants." Kaylin and Yura were extremely surprised. They carefully guarded everything, but they did not foresee that this kid was waiting for them. Little Yao was the one who introduced Mingyu to the advantages of Manchi. Despite his young age, his brother was distinguished by considerable fury in battles. Manchi looked helpless. If he had known in advance, he would never have agreed to this adventure. At that moment, the leader approached them. He asked if they had changed their desire to take some letters from their tribe with them. He was happy to recommend Chi-Chi and Meng Meng. With their physiques, they will definitely break into the top. We'll look out for them later. Mingyu felt a cold sweat run down his back. "Thank you for your kindness, but I have no choice in my plans," he replied quietly, rejecting the offer. Little Yao just said that the flower should be given to one of the top 3, but actually many girls already have flowers. If everyone gives flowers to the top 3, won't they get too many flowers? So those guys who get the most flowers will have the privilege of choosing how to treat them. Those who received the most flowers can choose any girl who gave them flowers to become their companion. Mingyu Evans felt relief until her chosen one becomes none of the flowers she received. Nothing terrible will happen. Meanwhile, Kaylin and Yura surrounded the chief judge ready for decisive action. "I'm sorry I can't assist with that request. Although there is no point in competing against weak opponents, I will join too." Minger already has a weakling, Kaolin, next to him. No need to add another one like Isawar. The chief judge looked worried because the participants had already been allocated. Additional places for new ones are not possible. At that moment, the deputy leader approached them and allowed them to participate. He explained that these 2 honored guests of the leaders are interested in getting to know our tribal customs, so let's make an exception. Kaylin and Yura looked at each other in surprise. Did the sun rise in the west? Why did this deputy leader suddenly decide to take their side? At this moment, the deputy leader waved her hand and said, "I know you are both very strong. So for justice, some conditions must be added. Kaylin has to fight blindfolded, and you can't transform into beast form. Are you ready to accept these conditions?" They quickly figured out the insidious intentions of the deputy leader. However, for the sake of the Ministry of Youth, they had to grit their teeth and participate. 2 foreigners want to participate, so they decided to revise the order of the battle. Let them experience for themselves what real difficulties are. They agreed to let Dulong win easily. Another beastman nodded respectfully, promising, "Be sure, deputy leader." Soon, the presenter announced with enthusiasm that all participants are ready for battle. "I announce the beginning of the annual Great Men's Duel. We welcome the first group of duelists to the stage," he exclaimed hotly, inviting him to enjoy the second duel. Chi-Chi and Kala, who was wearing a blindfold, entered the stage. Although Kala was brave and courageous, the blindfold created a huge obstacle for him in battle. When Kala appeared on the battlefield with his blindfold on, everyone around him held their breath. His blind gaze defied the very laws of nature. As soon as the battle began, the crowd erupted into loud cheers. Kaylin, bound by a coil, could only tell by sound, but the scene seemed so familiar. At that moment, Chi-Chi saw his chance, transformed into the form of the beast and rushed at Kellen. Minyu suddenly jumped up, feeling anxious for Kaylin, and shouted loudly to Kaylin to be careful. Kaylin suddenly grabbed Chi-Chi's horns, catching something elusive and mysterious. Kaylin instantly took note of the amazing feeling on Chi-Chi's back for Mingyu's sari, knowing it was important. At the same moment he turned into a ferocious lion, Chi-Chi's quickly shouted, "Stop, don't be mad. I surrender, I surrender." So blindfolded, Kaylin won his first victory. Taking off the bandage, Kaylin decided in Mingyu's heart, "Wait for me until I win the first place and deservedly become your chosen one." Mingyu looked worried, which scared me to death, but luckily Kaylin wasn't hurt. The fight was exciting. It looked like Kaylin was going to fly into the air. Meng Meng and special guest Yura decided to join the adventure. Their unexpected visit promises to bring new challenges and unexpected twists to the story. How will events change with their arrival? Mingyu was stunned. "How did it happen that you fell into this too?" At that moment, the leader leaned over and whispered that fighting blindfolded was the deputy's requirement for Kaylin to participate in the competition. "As for you, the requirement is that he cannot transform into a beast form and can only fight in human form." He shouted this, raising a fist as huge as a sandbag towards Yura. Yura just barely bent to dodge. Are they trying to demonstrate such crude skills in front of the master? He deftly shifted all his weight on his hands like a gymnast ready for a new trick. He instantly executed a flying kick, causing Meng Meng to suffer internal injuries. Meng Meng lay helplessly on the ground, unconscious from the merciless blow. Mirror insects defiantly challenged the sun and the moon like small pearls trying to shine with the same brightness. Such an audacious act attracted the attention of the leader and the mysterious Manua. He quipped, "You're too weak to compete with me." The leader challenged defiantly. "From now on, I will not attack. If you hit me even once, I will immediately admit defeat." These words awakened true courage in Ming Ming. He decided to put an end to the humiliation. Usually horses attack with sharp horns, but Ming Ming decided to resort to his deadly technique of a mad attack. Shura took a step back, admitting that he should admit the weakness of the declaration of strength will not make him truly strong. Meng Meng, blinded by anger, could not hold back. "Shut up, you're a weakling." No one expected that Yura would be able to avoid a fatal blow with one move. Min Ming flew down rapidly from the height of the 10-meter arena. Uproar everywhere. "The weak should stay where they are." These words incited the crowd even more. Yura seemed too audacious. Me, wait," shouted one of the spectators. "I will go to the arena and I will definitely take revenge for you. Yura must not win." Yura only smiled faintly. "Only the weak unite," he thought. "Sorry for the directness, but you all have been defeated." Yura smiled again, looking at them from above. Mingu broke into a cold sweat as he repeated to himself, "Shut up, please. I'm seriously afraid that as soon as you get off the stage, you'll be surrounded by a crowd." The leader watched with admiration as Yura suddenly attracted the attention of everyone around. It was fun and exciting. Minghua looked confused. What could be fun about this poisonous snake? Her smell was like from another world, and the taste of BOS is truly unique. The presenter quickly calmed down the situation. This time it was you who came out the winner. Meanwhile, Monchi, concentrating on sorting through flower petals, quietly whispered, "I will not win victory," plucking a petal for each phrase. At this moment, little Yao thoughtlessly ran up to him. "Brother, I found out who your opponent is. It's a very long story." Monchi was noticeably nervous because his opponent was not at all simple. Although DeLung could not match Chi-Chi and Meng Meng in archery, his horns were extremely sharp. Once his horns pierced a leopard through and left an impressive mark. Little Yao also began to worry about her brother. Only victory will allow him to win the favor of Mingyu's sister. Recent conflict with Kaylin near the river. Kaylin was throwing rocks at him. "Now scared? How dare you pick on my girlfriend? This is equivalent to death." Kaylin bared his teeth. Competitors would hardly help, he thought, assessing the situation. However, little Yao confidently pulled him along. "What do you know without even trying?" he threw boldly. Little Yao confidently led Monchi to Kaylin, saying, "We have a question for you there." Little Yao said without hesitation. My brother's next opponent is very strong. He wants to learn from you how to become stronger and win the duel. After she spoke, she began to show mercy. Brother Kalen, can you? However, Kalen's look read, Tatu, could you? Kalen's imagination played out and his face bloomed with a blush, but he only nodded in agreement. If his daughter looked at him like that, he would give her everything in the world. He dreamed fervently of those little tender moments with Manua. However, in such a short time, it is impossible to significantly strengthen the body. The only chance to win is to use your advantages. Monchi said with a smile that his strength is so great that he can split rocks. Kalen shook his head helplessly as he watched Monchi. Monchi impressed everyone with his dexterity, demonstrating a series of rapid boxing punches. Kalen shrugged helplessly, not knowing what else to do. He smiled and said that her advantage is weakness. She instantly boiled with anger. Who is the weak one here? Be careful because I can bite you to death. She waited, seething with anger. Little Yao held tightly to Manzi, urging him to calm down. Brother, calm down. Listen to what our brother Kalen has to say. Kalen continued his story in their country of the lion. There is a cruel tradition known as fanticide. When a wandering lion king kills the lion king, he mercilessly destroys all the king's descendants. A young lion was left alone when a wandering lion killed his father and brothers. He knew that now it was his turn to meet the blade of fate. He did not long for death. Life raged in him, but the awareness of his own weakness and the impossibility of defeating a wandering lion pressed a heavy shadow on his heart. So he decided to reveal his weakness. He pointed to his neck and said that he was afraid. The prowling lion wasn't going to give him an easy death. Instead, he decided to teach him a lesson to show him how dangerous it is to be weak. It was through this show of weakness that the other lion let his guard down, and the young lion finally saw his chance to attack. He miraculously survived, defeating all odds. So weakness does not always mean defeat. Skillfully used, it can become an advantage. Owning your weakness may even be able to change the course of events. After listening to Kalen's story, Mancha had an epiphany. Now it's clear, she thought. She needs to get a handle on her emotions right away. Kalen looked worried. Did he really understand what was going on? At this moment, Mingu stopped Kalen. Is that young lion in the story about you? She asked, looking intently into his eyes. Kalen didn't even try to hide it. As always, you can't hide a single detail from Mingu. Mingu gently touched Kalen's face. You must have been very scared and helpless then. Although I knew infanticide was common among lions, I didn't think you lived through it. It left a dark mark on your soul for the rest of your life. Kalen held Mina's hand tightly. Yes, but now everything is fine. It was a long time. Later, I met the former chief of the Malia tribe and life began to improve. The former leader was truly outstanding. He took pity on the exiles and created the Malia tribe, uniting representatives of various animal species into a real family. Mingyu finally understood why the Malia tribe had a variety of beastmen, while the Ashika consisted entirely of horses. Callan said that he inherited the will of the former leader about expanding Malia and helping all those in need. Meanwhile, the host excitedly announced, meet the youngest member Manchi and his opponent Dulong. Migurex happily announced that Manchi was entering the arena. He wondered if he had mastered the technique he had just learned and was already impatiently looking for answers in battle. She grabbed Kalen's hand. You can see better from there, she said, pointing to the field. Let's go sit together and watch the match. Kalen was incredibly impressed by this. Suddenly, Minyu started radiating such fiery energy. Maybe she sympathizes with him after learning about his past? Minuvar is so sensitive. Maybe sometimes I can use a moment of compassion to get closer. Watching from afar, you boil with rage as you see Mingyu holding Kalen's hand. How did they become so close in such a short time? It's unbelievable how this weak lion Kalen can hold Mingyu's hand. I have to stop this immediately. It was at this moment that the presenter announced the official start of the third match. The arena was filled with thunderous shouts as the audience erupted into rapturous applause. This put a lot of pressure on Monkey. Monkey swallowed nervously, feeling particularly tense. Meanwhile, the deputy leader was pleased to glance at everyone around Skoda that we could not punish these two foreigners earlier. In a fierce battle in the arena where Long Doggy Monchi attacks mercilessly, the young warrior with green experience did not stand a chance. His attacks were chaotic and without a plan. Such tactics will not lead to victory. Manchi gathered all his strength for another blow, determined. I can't believe I can't hit you. This time, Dulong did not dodge but deliberately took the blow. Dulong was smiling despite the blow, as if the pain was passing him by and his determination was growing. The next moment, Dulong sent Manchi flying with incredible speed. Dulong smiled mockingly at his opponent. See? Your attacks don't even tickle me. Manji was writhing in pain, lying on the ground. Dulong looked at him confused. Manji, is he okay? I didn't exert much force. Why are you in so much pain? It was at that moment that Manchi's eyes suddenly became dark. Manchi transformed into his beast form and gathered his strength for a decisive blow. Manchi, with his beastly strength, drove Dulong right to the very edge of the arena where he was barely able to stay on his feet. Unexpectedly, Dulong's arms began to move like wings, swinging up and down as if he was balancing between falling and standing. Mingu realized that this moment had come. She held back her blow, giving Manchi the opportunity to deliver the decisive final blow. Manchi suddenly woke up. The sister shouted loudly in support of him, encouraging him to move forward. Having gathered strength, he again prepared for a decisive blow. He swung his sword as the blade kissed Manchi's front paw. Manchi staggered and fell to the ground, losing his balance under the force of the blow. Mingu exclaimed, shocked to the core. What happened? Manchi suddenly fell as if something invisible hit him in the leg. Kalen confusedly explained that he saw something flash by and hit Manchi. Mingya finally understood. He didn't notice how it happened, and it seems that others didn't pay attention to it either. Lions have much better eyesight than humans or horses. They are able to detect moving objects at a great distance, which makes them real masters of hunting. Dulong instantly rose to his feet, showing his indomitability. Manchi, you dare to fool me? His voice sounded menacing. Transforming into his beastly form, he charged forward with determination. You will pay for your stupidity. In the next moment, he mercilessly tossed Manchi far to the side. The crowd hastily dispersed, seeing such cruelty. The presenter raised his hand to Dulong and announced that Dulong is the winner of this match. Manchi lay on the ground with a broken heart. He conceded defeat, realizing that he could no longer be his sister's ally. Ming and the leader rushed to Manchi to make sure he was all right. But Mancha ran away with tears in his eyes. He desperately begged them not to follow him. Don't follow me. Let me be alone. Kellen remained calm after the match. It seemed that he was helped to deceive from outside the arena. The leader was amazed how this could happen. Minu decided that without clear evidence, accusations do not make sense, and besides, Manchi is his friend. He managed to take a break and plan his own investigation to find out the truth. The leader said that whoever resorted to deception should be severely punished. Now, they couldn't scare the snake away by hitting the grass. He couldn't intervene directly, so he entrusted the investigation to them. If you need help, just let me know, he said. Kalen scratched his chin thoughtfully. There are some things that can't be done without your help. He turned to the interlocutor. The leader quickly realized Kalen's intention and went with him to Mingwei to interrupt the course of events and disrupt the master's plans. Everyone performed just great today in the matches. Emotions raged so much that there was a desire to go on stage and sing. Hearing these words, the wild audience in the hall exploded. They shouted as if in chorus. Leader, we want to hear you on stage. Seeing that the plan worked, the leader quickly exchanged glances with Mingyu and Kalana. The leader confidently took the stage to begin his performance. Feeling a surge of inspiration after a successful exchange of views with Mingyu and Kalana, spectators stared intently at him, their faces shining with admiration. Kylan scanned the space behind him carefully for clues. What could have made Manchi? Kylan carefully collected a handful of grains of sand. They were still moist, so they could easily be molded into a small ball. Suddenly, the owner noticed how two of them were behaving suspiciously and immediately wondered what they were up to. The leader also suddenly stopped feeling uncomfortable. At the same time, the situation took an unexpected turn. Soon the performance was over, and in the end, they successfully fooled everyone present. The leader hastily asked, How did everything go? Did you manage to learn something? Minguvare slowly opened her palm in which she was holding something. The leader kept a calm expression. It's always wind and sand here all the way to the horizon. But what's so strange about the sand on the platform? Mingwei quickly brought the sand to Kalen's nose. Surprisingly, Kalen caught the scent of desert roses. Mingwei instantly took out her desert rose and the scent immediately confirmed her guess. They probably used the juice of the desert rose. Now all the crocodiles went on the attack and left the nest unprotected. The leader finally thought that this could be true. Kylene was quick to praise Mingyu, saying he was really smart. All women in the tribe own desert roses, but it is possible that one of the men dared to steal petals from this rare flower from one of them. Kalen firmly stated that no man could do such a thing. It's a competition for mating rights. Neither man can let the obviously stronger man win this game. Mingyuya quickly agreed, admitting that men really do understand the situation best. If you narrow down the suspects to women, it will be easier. There aren't that many women in the Asika tribe. You need to gather them all together and check the smell of their hands one by one. As she spoke, Minghua grabbed Kalen's hand and began to gently sniff her. The mysterious deputy leader watched the events from afar, his watchful eyes recording Minghua and Kylene's every move as if reading hidden intentions in their gestures and actions. She felt dissatisfied because the distance did not allow her to hear their conversation. At this point, the leader decided to find the culprit from outside. The leader gathered all the women in one place, creating an atmosphere of tension and uncertainty. All women of marriageable age gathered in the tribe. The atmosphere was filled with anticipation and uncertainty. Little Yao rummaged around, sniffing what other members of the tribe were holding. The deputy leader creates problems again. What are they up to? Is that it? Sorry, but the provided fragment does not contain enough information for the context. Can I help with other parts of the text? But she was interrupted by Minghua, who ran up to her. Intercessor, where are you going? She found herself trapped in a small cave hall surrounded by stones. He accused her in a menacing tone and asked, "How dare you stay so long to cheat in the competition? Do you admit your guilt?" His competitions were of great importance for choosing a couple in their tribe because they were closely related to traditions. For what you did, I could kick you out of the tribe without any hesitation. Dulong finally broke into a cold sweat. His heart froze at the thought of being kicked out of the tribe. The leader didn't know anything. He thought that Monchi just twisted his leg when he fell. How could he have guessed that his real support was the vice leader? However, I didn't ask the vice leader for help, leader. I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. His defeat was inevitable, but the victory of his opponent turned out to be dishonorable and dishonorable. The leader snorted contemptuously, looking at his opponent. Innocent, you say? And you want to put all the blame on the deputy? His words sounded like a cold wind on a winter's night. How can you talk about shifting the blame? It's all because of the deputy. He was jealous of my beauty and wanted me to take first place, she thought, recalling the events. The deputy leader broke free from the shackles, demonstrating her determination and strength. He thought that was enough. So I wanted you to win first place and join me in glow. However, he could not bear her accusation of being jealous of her beauty. Look at yourself in the mirror. If you didn't always try to get close to me and please me, would I pay attention to you? He answered. The leader coughed slightly and asked if this means that you admit your involvement. He admitted I was stupid enough to help him and now you exposed it. It's my fault. If you want to send me into exile, he begged to see mercy in the leader's eyes, asking to be lenient. He did not want to leave the tribe, repeating, "Don't kick me out. I want to stay almost." Who would have thought that the deputy leader would simply confess? But she helped him since childhood and was his only relative. With this in mind, he finally decided to fulfill her wish. The leaders of the Asik tribe declared Ling and Dulong banished from the tribe. They no longer belong to the Asik Brotherhood. At last, the conqueror has reached his maturity. Since childhood, his emotionality has been both his strength and weakness. The leader suddenly felt enlightened. Was this all your training for me too? He asked, realizing his mentor's ulterior motive. Who knows? I should not be considered a great strategist, thought the mentor. I am only an egoist who cares about his own interests. Over time, she gradually disappeared from the public eye. The relationship between Bayu and Linga seems confused and ambiguous, as if they are dancing on the line between friendship and rivalry. The leader looked pleased. Well, this matter is finally settled. Thank you, Minger and Kaylin. Soon he will explain to everyone about Dulong's deception, and Monchi will return to the competition. Now we continue to watch the matches. Concerned, Mingyu watched closely. Can you really handle this? He said doubtfully. The leader stopped Mingyu to thank her. The leader looked at Mingyu, feeling the weight of a difficult question. Mingyu, I have an important question for you. Do you know your true identity? They only knew Mingyu as a creepy python and never asked about his other secrets. At this moment, Minghua looked confused. Does he have another mysterious personality? For Yura, this became an important issue. Yura is the only son of the leader of the northern tribes, Linhunga. Mingyuva was amazed. Is Yura the heir to the throne of one of the world kingdoms? But why was he alone in Western Garu? He ran away from home to free himself from the duties of the heir to the throne. His mother planned a meeting with 10 potential deputies to choose future leaders for him, but he disappeared that very night, unwilling to obey her will. Mindy had to be careful. The 10 vice leaders were actively looking for him, leaving no place unattended. If the 10 vice leaders found out that he was with her, she would be in mortal danger. Her presence would only complicate the situation and add risks. Minj quickly waved her hands, trying to explain that between her and Yura, there is not what everyone thought. Minj explained that she once saved Yura. That is why he is now drawn to her as a debtor. Also, she asked to keep his whereabouts a secret, because Yura does not want him to be found. The leader immediately agreed. Although Northern Linhong offered a year's supply of food for Yura, he decided to pretend he had never seen him in order to pay Mingyu's debt. At this time, the winners were announced. Kaylin won the first place, Levin took the second place, and Selkie took the third place. The event caused excitement among the audience. Everyone around sincerely congratulated the winners, but only Yura looked displeased. Yura scolded herself, thinking, if I had not spent so much effort on that horse named Meng Meng, how could a simple Kalin defeat me? At this moment, the presenter excitedly announced, dear guests, I invite you to congratulate the beauties who will present flowers to their favorite 3 most outstanding warriors. Kaylin confidently approached Minghua. Can you give me your flower? He asked with hope in his voice. Before Minghua could answer, the leader pushed her forward. Kailin looked at Mingyu Ed with deep eyes like a treasure that holds the most cherished desire. You are the gift I dream of, he said the most, trying to hide his excitement. Kailin and Minguwat walked into the winner's room with racing hearts and anticipation on their faces. Kaylin was eager to get close to Minghua. The choice between 1 or 2 litters of lion cubs became a difficult decision for them, which required a balanced approach and objective discussion. Suddenly, someone sneaked up to the door. If he doesn't get there tomorrow, he will see little lions. In his excitement, he suddenly kicked the stone door, breaking it into pieces. He saw his beloved Mingya being tortured and could not remain indifferent. He walked up to Kaylin and hit him with the words, You are worthless, how dare you make Mingyu suffer such horror. Minghua gestured quickly in a desperate attempt to refute the accusation. However, deep down, Minghua couldn't deny that she secretly accepted Kaylin's courtship. With Yura around, no one will risk hurting her. From now on, her safety is my responsibility. Kaylin thought that she was misunderstood. She asked her to wait and promised to come back soon. Fortunately, she managed to reach the top in time. Otherwise, she might not be able to resist the temptation. Having met such an impressive beauty, she will have to pull herself together and prepare for the challenge when she returns. But Kaylin was suddenly worried. I was too impulsive, she just realized. When they got outside, Mingyu suddenly quietly asked, I heard some rumors about you. What do you say about that? Mingos was terribly embarrassed when someone out of the blue asked if you were really the only son of the leader of the northern Linhong tribes. He didn't expect that you already knew about it. He guessed that the person who disclosed his identity also mentioned about escaping from marriage. It is not worth persuading that returning home is not in his plans. Who would have thought that Minghua would support him by raising his finger? There was no way she was going to persuade him to return. She liked his rebellious spirit, because marriage is not someone else's business of control. He was surprised to hear the unexpected words. No one had said that to him before. In childhood, it was often said that when he grows up, he should choose the strongest woman in the tribe to help her become the leader. However, none of them deserve my support. Mingyu reassured him, assuring him that under such circumstances, it is worth finding a truly worthy girl. Take your time. We will find her later. At this moment, Yura fell silent, feeling how his heart beat harder, because the girl who filled his thoughts was right in front of him. Minuya asked curiously about the treasures associated with the water god. According to legend, 1,000 years ago, the son of the water god, seized with jealousy, treacherously killed his sister goddess. Before her death, the goddess of water gathered all her divine power and transferred it into a magical staff. She entrusted the staff to 4 holy virgins, ordering them to find her reincarnation and return the magic staff to her. The sun god had his own plans and was not going to let the four holy maidens succeed in their task. Determined in their intention, the four holy virgins divided the staff into four parts. Each kept a piece and fled to the human world to hide. There are legends that after the death of the water god, the former oasis of this region turned into a desert. The four tribes were able to establish themselves here only thanks to the pieces of the staff of the water god that the holy virgins brought with them. However, these are all just legends. No one is sure if the treasure is really capable of summoning the water god. It seems that even the four holy virgins could not find his reincarnation. Mingyuva glowed with joy because the treasure was in the hands of four holy virgins. Now all that remained was to find these virgins to find the cherished treasure. It is known that the holy virgin from the southern tribe of Senna is still among her people, but the virgins from the other three tribes have long since disappeared. Their trace is lost in the past, shrouded in mystery. Western Garou and Southern Sen are neighbors separated only by a river. They are not so far from this place. He assured that he could accompany her to the Southern Sen because he knows the area there well. The next morning, Mingua and Kailina set out to repair the bridge. Mingua gave the detailed drawings to Kailini. Kailina explained to Mingua that she needed to leave for a while, leaving him with the drawings. Kailina looked very excited. "Where are you going?" Mingua asked. "Didn't we agree to come back together?" Mingua clearly decided to go to the South Senna to find the Holy Maiden and get the treasure of the water god. Kaelin felt anxious and offered to go together because it is too dangerous for one person. The members of the Malia tribe are still waiting for water sources. "After you deal with the problems of the tribe, we can meet again." At that time, Yura and Manchi approached Mingui, leaving her feeling safe. "Her protection is now on my shoulders." At first, Kaelin intended to stop them. However, after thinking again, Kaelin realized that Mingyu has his own business. She shouldn't keep a girl because of her own desires. "What gives you the right to tell us how to take care of sister?" At that moment, Kaelin clenched his fists, feeling like he was the only one who had the right to protect her because he was her chosen one. "Why did you decide that?" Kaelin thought, feeling that only he had the right to protect her because his knowledge was more important than any doubts or words of others. What was supposed to be a sad farewell turned into chaos due to their endless arguments. The three friends finally reach the border of the South Sen where new adventures await them. Suddenly, their path is blocked by an unexpected obstacle. Something mysterious and disturbing is approaching from the horizon. Ahead, Xian rushed forward. A flock of treacherous vultures flew behind him like a shadow, leaving no chance for rest. He admitted his mistake by saying, "All this for you, I will spare nothing. Just stop pecking my hair." At that moment, Minwer realized that Xian was standing in front of her. Xian smiled comfortingly when he saw Minwer. "However, now is not the time for meetings. You better run away. Otherwise, these predators may choose you as their victim." A warm smile appeared on her face. "What's so special about several vultures?" With these words, with a sharp movement of his tail, he scattered all the vultures like pawns on a chessboard. Mingyu beamed with joy. "Good job, Euro," he said encouragingly. Suddenly, the fallen vultures gave a shrill cry. The next moment, even more vultures covered the sky, creating a black curtain with their wings. Xian grabbed Mingguar in a flash and ran away, their footsteps reverberating across the ground, carrying them away from danger. "Have you caught us and want to escape?" "Not for nothing. Everyone will pay with their lives." A harsh voice echoed from behind as the threat grew with each step. Suddenly, a huge wave of black feathers rolled in like a storm, threatening to sweep away everything in its path. The blow was so strong that Mingyu simply could not open her eyes. He quickly pulled her to him in a tight hug. "Don't be afraid, I'll protect you," he said, trying to calm her anxiety. Xian and Manchi could do nothing but close their eyes as the blows rained down on them. Suddenly, Mingu remembered that she still had a system that could save the situation. Mingu shouted, "White power!" Finally appeared on the stage, ready to show what he is capable of. "It's time to shine to challenge this pesky white power." Mingwei quickly pressed the panel in front of her and let out a loud cry, commanding the lightning to strike the target. However, the next moment nothing happened. Mingyu looked confused, as if wondering if there was a malfunction in the lightning system. Whitebold hastily explained, looking at Mingyu. "Has your mind become rusty from being idle for so long? Did you forget what you need to do before activating the ability?" The Ministry of Defense felt an elusive, disturbing whisper in his soul when he suddenly headed towards Yura. All this was very unexpected, and the world around him changed, becoming unusually whimsical. Mingu met with Dumbledore and Kistora. The White Brave looked content as he pondered the recent events. In a moment, lightning rapidly cut through the sky, illuminating everything around. Numbness spilled over Yura's lips as if frost had penetrated them. It seemed to Yuri that from someone's words, the broken world began to recover. I'm sorry, Yura. I didn't try to take advantage of your weakness. The picture changes. Mingyue finished treating Zion's wounds by carefully applying the last drop of medicine. Why, Zion, have you become a target for so many predators? They say that there are many shining stones in the southern lands of Senna, so I decided to go there in search of them. He planned to steal all my stones to make jewelry for his leader. Of course, I refused. In response, he called a flock of vultures. The vultures turned out to be ordinary bandits. No one had any idea that this region was so full of chaos. They had passed these places before, but had never heard of vultures. And since there was a village in front of them where they could rest, they decided to go there for the night. He could not remember the last time he slept because the past days had been full of exhausting journeys without rest. It was then that Mingyu was suddenly enveloped in a thick fog that he did not expect at all. Xian held a shiny stone in his hands that emitted a soft, magical light. The vultures grabbed all the other stones, but this one stayed with me. When I met you, I realized that it was perfect for you. So I decided to give it to you. It was impressive. If my guesses are correct, then I have a real treasure in front of me. A priceless gem with exquisite taste. Returning home, she would become the richest woman in the entire universe. Suddenly, he intervened. We have many other beautiful specimens at home. If you like them, I will gladly give them all to you. In this world, the most exciting thing is not just touching fluffy things. The main thing is to realize your dream of huge wealth and success, exceeding all expectations. Soon the foursome arrive at the bustling village. However, two watchful guards stand in their way, ready to stop the arrivals. He introduced himself to the old acquaintances of the head of the village, Allah, hoping that this would melt the hearts of the guards and open the way to the village for him. A woman approached them. Maybe an old acquaintance of your father's? The guests were greeted with respect. The two retreated to the side so as not to disturb them. With a red blush on her cheeks, the girl invited the guests to enter the house. She offered to take them to her father. He suddenly became alert. Did Allah have a daughter? She explained that she is the adopted daughter of her father. His heart is always open to those in need, so when he saw her wandering alone without support and hope, he could not leave her to her own devices. He decided to wait until she explained everything to her father, feeling that this was an important step for their future plan. At that moment, a pungent smell hung in the air. Monchi confidently emphasized that it was the smell of rot that permeated the air. Yura instantly became alarmed. Something was clearly wrong with this village. At this moment, everyone received a summons and hurried to enter the house. Lying on the bed, the old man struggled with Yura's last breaths, not expecting such a quick return. He froze in place in surprise. Yura asked in surprise how it happened, because recently he seemed so strong. What had changed that now only exhaustion could be seen on his friend's face? When old age comes, all ailments pile up at once. You stay here for the night. I will see to it that they prepare a place for rest. Someone hastened to assure that there is no need to worry the father. Their accommodation has already been arranged. Hearing this, Yura instantly turned around and ran away, but the old man held him back. I have one more unfair request. I'm afraid my life is ending. So I want to find a home for Elaria. Sooner, I hope I can entrust her to you. Laria also behaved shyly, slightly hiding her true emotions. Directly refused and apologized for not being able to accept this trusted offer. He firmly stated his yes. This bold step shocked the audience, who were amazed by his wit and persistence. He already had a lover whom he was ready to protect until the end of his days. All three turned their gazes to Minghua in unison. Yura, forgive me. My father did this lightly. Noticing the tiredness on the faces of her guests, Minghua invited them to rest after a long journey and went to cook something tasty and nutritious. Leiria went out the door while someone started preparing food for her in anticipation of her return. Suddenly, the two men bowed deeply, showing their respect and emphasizing, "Yes, leader." She started by preparing a luxurious dinner, creating an atmosphere of coziness and culinary magic. She secretly adds an unknown ingredient to the dish, turning an ordinary dinner into a mysterious culinary adventure. Soon, everyone fell into a deep sleep as if under a spell. She lifted Yori's chin with an elegant movement, allowing the light to fall on his face. She pointed to one of the four, calmly ordering, "Leave this man. Get rid of the other three as you please." As soon as she completed her command, the servants immediately took away the three useless ones. LREA immediately sat down on her knees. "How dare you reject me? Tonight you will find out what I am capable of," she said defiantly. Suddenly, like lightning in the middle of a clear sky, she appeared in front of his eyes and defiantly said, "You self-confident fool." He opened his eyes looking at her. "Are you awake yet? My taste is great even under the influence of so many drugs you recovered so quickly. I like you more and more." Yura instantly turned into a giant python. "Did you really think that we would fall into your trap?" he asked challengingly. After a moment, Mingwar and the other Euros entered the room. "We already dealt with everyone outside." "They were indeed griffins, probably the same ones we met in the afternoon," said Mingwar. It turned out that during the meal, the skin on El Aria's neck became completely red. Mingwar noticed how suddenly the skin on El Aria's neck turned deep red. She turned around and met Manchi's gaze, anxiety glinting in her eyes. The four watched the meat being cooked with undisguised enthusiasm, but it was all just part of their game. When vultures eat, their necks and faces unconsciously turn red, warning others of their own kind. Do not steal food. It is also in your hands to choose Bedredden as the headman of the village. Manipulating the headman, he managed the village so that the residents found themselves in a difficult situation. Suddenly, while Lorea was taking everyone by surprise, 3 sharp swords fell from the sky, sparkling in the rays of the sun. However, all the swords collided with the magical barrier created by the fairy tale. Suddenly, this throw gave her the freedom to escape. She promised herself to remember them all. The next time they met, she would repay today's humiliation tenfold. Seeing this, Cyan was ready to transform and rush after her. Vultures are powerful fighters with almost no natural enemies. If Xian gets injured, it is unlikely that he will be able to cope with it. In the village, the leader swallows a special elixir of the mingu, immediately feeling how energy fills his body, and a satisfied smile blooms on his face. The mingu, with a disbelieving look, is trying to understand the mysterious origin of vultures. How can it be that these birds appeared here where they had never been before? The head of the village noted that the vultures appeared quite recently and looked as if they were relatives of the deputy leader of Biadala. Upon arrival, they captured the village, forced the inhabitants to become slaves, and robbed all our food supplies. Mostly older people and children remained in the village. Food reserves depend on young people who are absent. Their return is doubtful, and the residents are confused, not knowing what to do next. Mingwire instantly replied that it was better to rely on yourself than on others, looking at the abundant water resources nearby. This land is great for growing crops. Why not gather the elders and children of the village to farm together? The mayor and his wife exchanged surprised looks when they heard the mention of farming. The headman explained that farming consists in sowing wheat grains in the soil. Part of the harvest will later serve as food for the next sowing. Over time, small sprouts of wheat will sprout lushly green and bring a rich harvest of golden grains. The village head was delighted. "It's incredible." He decided to immediately gather all the villagers to try the new seedlings together. 6 months later, all the seedlings had already taken root and were blooming, spreading their green charm around. Minguez suddenly remembered Kaylin. It was the first time they had been apart for so long. Suddenly, in the next moment, Xian appeared, leading Kaylin behind him. When Mingyu saw Kaylin appear next to Xian, his heart froze as if he had met a long-lost friend. Kaylin gently pulled her into his arms, and she suddenly felt a familiar scent that brought back memories of the past. Everything in front of her was real. Kaylin standing in front of her was not an illusion. It was at this moment that Yura jerked Minghua aside. Yura, protecting Minghua behind his back, asked in a voice full of anxiety, "Why are you here?" Minhyu's husband, having finished his business, came to her. "Are there any difficulties?" Minuet looked helpless. Why do they always start arguing as soon as they meet? Minuet tried to distract Yuro. "Have you figured out what our next steps are?" she asked hopefully. In order to reach the capital of Southern Sines, the heroes had to pass through the possessions of Deputy Batola or cross the foggy forest. Both paths promised danger. Well, now that Kaylin is with us, it's time to tell the village head that we are ready to leave. At that moment, Kellen realized that something was wrong. Mingyues was smiling so brightly looking at Yura that it caused him anxiety. The next day, they arrived at Bedela's territory and were greeted by the gloomy outlines of the mysterious mountains. They explained that they were from Western Guru and they needed to get to the capital of Southern Senna. They asked for permission to pass. Unexpectedly, the guards instantly recognized the group. Deputy Leader Biddle said that for the passage of the group, it is necessary to provide food for 100 people. If you can't provide this, then immediately get out of here and give a good press to Minua. Fortunately, Kellen and Yura caught her in time and kept her from falling. Desperately caused death? Can life not be sweet anymore? Mingu quickly stopped the two. They were looking for the Holy Virgin from the Southern Senna, so they avoided conflicts. Moreover, according to the village headman, Bidala is closely related to El Aurea, maybe helping the Virgin to take revenge. Elder Bidala tapped out a rhythm on the table with his fingers, trying to concentrate, but all that sounded in his head was a melody he accidentally heard on YouTube. If so, why don't we just go through the misty forest? Mingui believed that it was possible. Although the misty forest is dangerous, they are not weak in battle. Bidala still pursues them. Even if he collects food for 100 people, he will find new ways to trouble them. It is better to go through the forest directly. Kaylin watched anxiously as Minger and Yura felt each other more and more. Had she fallen in love with him? Minger knew that they could enter the mysterious forest, but this place hid many dangers. She emphasized that we must be fully prepared before entering. She raised her sword and swung again. No more power rang out fiercely in the air. She charged once more with all her determination. Who would have thought that Kaylin's full training meant that I would be dragged to self-defense training? Kaylin prepared a whole series of courses that the hero is now forced to attend. First, the hero studied the basics of self-defense, and then moved on to mastering offensive combat techniques. Mingu sighed helplessly, feeling that learning these techniques would take forever. Suddenly, Kaylin tapped her lightly on the head, distracting her. "Your punishment extra training today?" he said with a mysterious smile. It was difficult for Manuga to contain his emotions. He was already exhausted. "If I train even more, my body will fall to pieces," he thought with a heart that was beating like crazy. "If you do not want extra training, there is one condition." Minghair instantly revived the technician. What was this condition supposed to be? Kaylin took a step closer and smiled enigmatically. "The condition is simple. I want you to kiss me," she whispered. Mingyu suddenly blushed. When did Kaylin learn to be so shameless? Will it be a kiss or an extra workout? She had already done this before, so now she did not hesitate. Determined, she took a step forward. "Is that good enough? Can I now skip additional training? Next time you'll get distracted and it won't be so easy. But today, I'm ready to close my eyes to it." During his self-defense training, he decided to take the chance to win Mingyu's heart again. Daily grueling training brought him to a state where his back and waist were as if under the crosshairs of pain. Although Kylene teaches with full dedication, it always seems that there is something else hidden behind his seriousness. He only seems to be looking for an opportunity to flirt. Suddenly, the space was filled with the sounds of music that flowed through everything around. It seems that the music led them to Yura, who was sitting on a tree and playing a melody inspired. Why was Yura awake at such a late hour? Yura stretched out his hand invitingly. "Tonight the wind is so pleasant. Do you want to come up to me and feel it together?" Miguai asked how things are going with self-defense training. The answer was optimistic. "Everything is going great." Kaylin even praised me. "Today I practically mastered archery, and tomorrow I plan to start training with daggers." Mingyu took the dagger and carefully took it out of its scabbard. "How beautiful it is. What did you make it out of?" she asked enthusiastically. The blade of the dagger is as thin as a cicada's wing, but extremely sharp. The poisonous blade can paralyze the enemy from a light scratch, and in the worst case, lead to death. He looked at the dagger with admiration, not finding words to thank him. The master casually replied that it was just a trinket that he created in his spare time. An expression of joy flashed on the hero's face when he carefully held the gift in his hands. He was filled with pleasure, and he was sincerely pleased with what he received. The next day, unexpectedly for everyone, Yura decided to go to Kaylin to show off his new trinket. The gift caused him great admiration. Kaylin gave him a punishment to run 1,000 miles, which caused admiration of those around him. Kaylin decided to punish Mingyu by putting him through a trial in Town. It was at this moment that a seriously wounded man struggled out of the bushes. The man was seriously injured. He must be treated urgently, otherwise he will not survive. They carefully moved him to their home, hoping for a miracle. Mingyu promptly prepared the medicine, hoping for its quick effect. As soon as she was about to apply the medicine, two hands appeared nearby, grabbing her by surprise. There are enough men around her. She definitely does not need an additional one. Mingwei felt helplessness seeing him for the first time determined and responsible. Okay, do it, but be careful. She reluctantly agreed, but as soon as the doctors approached the wound, the patient cried out loudly in pain. The patient looked weakly at Ming's sister. Maybe you could take their place. I'm scared and it hurts so much. An hour later, Kaylin and Yura applied the medicine, but the patient still remained dissatisfied with their actions. After applying the medicine, all that was left was to rest for a few days so that the wounds would heal. But what happened that you are so badly wounded? Chameau, or simply Mumu, lived in the lands of Bidala from childhood. Over the years, Bidala often helped her understand. All the wounds on Mumu's body were inflicted by Bidala. But yesterday, she finally got a chance to escape. Fortunately, Mumu met her sister. Otherwise, she could have died on the road. After recovering, she decided to become her servant and serve her all her life. Kaylin ruthlessly pushed the outstretched hand away. This is too much, Mingyu has me. She doesn't need your service, she said with unwavering determination. He assured Shalmu that he had acted as anyone else would have done. When you recover, you will be able to go on your way. Gratitude is superfluous, he said kindly. He gently took Kaylin and Jorah's hands and gently said, Let's go. Let's not disturb Xiam's peace. According to the information, Bidala had to find out that Kaylin and Yora did not get along in order to make them quarrel. But to his surprise, he noticed that they were very united. He felt that it was necessary to find another way, because the current initiative clearly did not work to make Kaylin and Yora quarrel. Yoru, thanks to the medicine from his sister, felt restored. Almost with delight, Kaylin held out a basket with freshly picked fruit, grabbing it. Sister, try it. Your medicine works wonders. Kaylin noticed that her sister always drinks hot water and carefully boiled it for her. She also did not forget to tidy up the tent, sweeping and cleaning it thoroughly. Sister is tired after a whole day of training. Her younger brother came up with an offer. Let me give you a massage so you can relax. But in the next moment, Manchi and Xion pulled him aside, suddenly interrupting the action. Tell me, what are your true intentions? Asked the brother, looking into his eyes. I don't understand what you are talking about. He answered calmly. I just want to thank my sister, that's all. Every day you follow your sister like a shadow, as if taking all her time to yourself. He has already recovered and now it is time for him to go his own way. The mysterious Mingavare eavesdropped on their conversation, picking up on the smallest details. Mingavare was overcome with guilt. He had done nothing, but he felt like he had committed a terrible crime. Maybe he shouldn't have let Kaylin and the others isolate Xiamo. Xiamo looked so helpless. Seamus better not go there. It's the misty forest. Minghua followed, but did not even see Xiamo's trail. The next moment, Larea appeared. In her possession, even if you scream until you are exhausted, no one will respond. Dakala decided to deal with the weakest opponent first. Dakala had her own plan. She was just following Bedel's orders to help. I'm not your subordinate, so don't command me, she stated firmly. After saying this, he shot 4 poison needles towards Minghua Cliff. She most likely did not. However, due to exquisite maneuvers, Minghua undoubtedly avoided the fatal needles. She is skillful and dexterous, surprising every time with her skills. In the next moment, Ella Rare was standing behind Minghua. Ella Rare rushed to Minghua without wasting time and knocked him off balance with a sharp blow to his back. Minghua's cry of pain became a reference point for the other 4, pointing to his location. It seemed that just killing Minghua was too easy. His pursuer thought about how to make his victim suffer gradually. His plan was to begin the destruction of the victim's personality slowly, step by step, enjoying every moment. It was at that moment that Manchi suddenly jumped up and hit Illyria with a swing, sending her flying. They promised that at any cost they would not allow any harm to Mingyues. Ming burst into tears, unable to hold back her emotions. Dakola instantly threw away his weapon, irritated by the sudden appearance of several more people. But Kaylin can easily stop them. Kaylin, take Mingir and go, shouted someone nearby. However, Dakola suddenly retreated and rushed at Mingir again, attacking with renewed force. Fortunately, Kaylin caught the attack with her bare hands, protecting Mingir. Wait a minute. She said, I'll get you out of here soon. The situation was escalating and time was passing by seconds. Manchi and Xian rushed into battle, merging into a vortex of merciless battle. Ming stepped aside but was threatened by a knife. Ming froze when an ominous voice came from behind. Hush, because it's the last sound you'll make. Xiaomo, where are you taking me? Have you received threats? Tell me, maybe I can help you. And didn't Vidala hurt you? But everything was arranged. Remembering how cunningly she pretended to be defenseless, Vidal realized that she had harmed herself in order to lure him into a trap. Suddenly, Mingyu rushed forward, deflecting Xiaomu's sharp knife. But Xiaomu frantically struggled to free himself from the trap. Yura handed her the knife even earlier. She managed to cut Xiaomu but was instantly kicked by him. Poisoned, she slipped off the top of the rock, barely holding on to the edge of consciousness. Meanwhile, the other four triumphantly defeated their opponents. At that moment, Kaylin realized that Mingua had long since disappeared without a trace. After a thorough search, Kaylin realized that Mingua's tracks had mysteriously disappeared as if they had never been there. Maybe other enemies were hiding there. Everyone was sure that it was Xiaomi's handiwork. Mingyu was definitely lured by Xiaomi into the misty forest, no doubt prepared in advance for a trap from which it is not so easy to get out. Mingua must be found immediately. 7 days have passed and no one has seen Mingua yet. His absence cast a shadow over the team, making everyone more nervous with each passing moment. Everyone believed that Minghua could die. Yura insisted on a trip to the capital of Southern Sen. Perhaps Mingyu is already waiting for them in the capital, ready for new adventures. As expected, as soon as they were on the main street, the residents were lively discussing the goddess who brings rain. Residents discussed rumors about the romantic connection of the goddess with their leader, which became the topic of the day and absorbed the whole city into an atmosphere of intrigue and mystery. Hearing this, Kaylin worriedly asked what history the goddess had with their leader. Kaylin learned that the name of the goddess remains a secret. She appeared in the city only a few days ago. There were rumors that their leader accidentally saved her near the misty rocks while hunting. Annie, seeing her for the first time, fell madly in love. Even then, he decided that this mysterious girl should become his wife. Suddenly, someone shouted, "The goddess appeared!" In a moment of spontaneous joy, dozens of servants picked up the leader along with the goddess and carried them in their arms like a great procession. The goddess in the palanquin was Minhua. Everyone bowed their heads to Minho. People begged Minhua for a blessing, dreaming that the goddess would bless them with spring rain. When Minhua had just waved her little hand, rain poured down from the sky. Thunder rolled across the sky and a downpour began. Kaylin quickly waved her hand at Minhua, drawing his attention. "Minghua, here we are." "They came to get you," she shouted, her voice breaking through the sound of the rain. Her gaze suddenly turned away as if it had lost all warmth. Kaylin froze in surprise. What happened to Mingei? Her change was sudden and inexplicable. The power continued to flicker and pulse, trying to attract Mingwei's attention. But unexpectedly for all of them, Vice Leader Biddle, who was nearby, noticed them. Vice Leader Biddle carefully followed their movements, trying to decipher their intentions. Is it possible that they are planning to steal our southern hay? Poor thing. If you understand what is best for you, then quickly release Minge. Otherwise, don't blame me for starting a war between our tribes. He planned to marry her in 2 days. But the fact is that after falling off the cliff, she is no longer the Minge he knew. Everyone was stunned when Minge appeared. Grab them. Don't let them escape. Yura understood that now is not the time for an open fight. To begin with, it is better to run away. The scene changes. Yura and his comrades rush through the surrounding soldiers, trying to find a way to escape. It was late and darkness enveloped the world. The team decided to stop here for the night, trying to come up with a rescue plan before dawn. The masked figure gradually approached, causing tension in the air. Yura became alert when he felt the approach of a stranger. The next moment, a mysterious masked stranger suddenly appeared in front of Kalin. In the dark, starry sky, the moon illuminated the streets with a silver glow, creating a magical atmosphere. They rushed down the street without strength and on the verge of breathing. They had been running for a long time, finally escaping from the clutches of those annoying scoundrels. Jia Lan was seething with rage. He wanted to avenge the wrongs, but it was too late. He decided that it would be better to find a place to spend the night and think about how to free Lin Minyu tomorrow. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed through the narrow streets and echoed in the silence of the night. Silhouettes of someone's feet appeared in the darkness, quickly approaching, fearlessly tearing apart the silence. The young man turned and realized that someone was quickly approaching them. Suddenly, a stranger in a red scarf appears in front of Jialan and greets her warmly. Jalan jumped back in fright, trying to figure out who was standing in front of her. She asked one question after another, her voice shaking with anxiety. But after taking off her red scarf, she appeared before them as Lin Minyu. Everyone was amazed and fascinated by her beauty, and immediately began to ask where she came from. Smiling, she replied that she had come here precisely to meet them. But suddenly, she felt strong arms wrap around her. Jalan ran up to Lin Mingyu and hugged her tightly. He was filled with joy at her return. No matter how, Lin Mingyu felt the warmth of his hands. At one point, Jalan opened his heart, admitting that he knew about Minyu's memory loss. With a look of surprise on Minwet's face, she admitted that she had always only pretended to have lost her memory. The boys were stunned by this revelation. Jialan grabbed her hand and passionately asked if the rumors about her marriage to the Southern clan chief were also lies. No one could find out what was happening and what adventures befell her in the mysterious foggy forest, and how she ended up in this place. Lin Minyu was upset but dared to tell her story. No one guessed that while they were fighting criminals, he would sneak up on her. Xion asked her curiously if it was true that she fell off the cliff, but the leader of the southern tribe saved her at the last moment. Lin Minyu confirmed that it was true. As a sign of gratitude for the rescue, she promised Sayer Ka to participate in his play by playing the role of a bride. The night was dark. We reached the most remote parts of the southern tribe, and it turned out that it was not as calm as it seemed at first glance. The girl was intrigued and noted that after the case was over, Sayer Ka undertook to reveal to her the secret of the location of the Holy Virgin of the southern tribe. Jialan was still doubtful. He wanted to make sure it was just a show. After all, Sayer Ka definitely didn't have any ulterior motives for her. Lin Minyu kept calm and assured him that she was not the kind of girl that everyone falls in love with at first sight. Raising her finger up, she confidently assured the audience that he already has a girlfriend. However, the boys did not believe her words and remained tense like tigers before a jump. The girl was not at all surprised by their reaction and handed them costumes in which they could go with her. With bitterness in her eyes, she admitted that she could only get 2 suits each for the guards and the maids, and only 2 could go with her. The boys agreed that Jialan and Man Chi would go together. They changed into new costumes and looked extremely elegant and charming. Lin Minyu couldn't believe how well the suits fit them. They really looked great in these new outfits. The boys gathered around her as if they had stepped off the page of a fashion magazine, showing the girl all their attractiveness. Lin Minyu couldn't take her eyes off the models. They were so attractive. She didn't even expect that the clothes would fit them so perfectly. The girl, having changed into a maid's uniform, came out and asked if it was by chance that she had brought these dresses because she did not like this uniform at all. Lin Minyu explained that they couldn't get another uniform because it was too difficult. When everyone had changed, the group set off in the direction of the palace. They were approaching the palace located in the capital of the southern tribe. They entered the palace where they were immediately seated at the table and treated to wine. Lin Minyu pointed to the leader and excitedly introduced him to her friends. Sayer Ka raised his glass in greeting, noting that he had heard many exciting stories about his guests from Lin Minyu. Jalan expressed her sincere gratitude for saving Ling Mingyue. Sayer Ka looked at Ling Minyu admiringly, admitting that he could not pass by such a beauty. Sayer Ka smiled gently as he remembered how Lin Minyu had agreed to help him. He couldn't help but feel deeply grateful for her support. Raising his eyes to the sky, he said that tomorrow his wedding with Lin Minyu would be a real adventure. He sincerely hoped that her friends would be able to protect her. Yu looked at him disdainfully and said that they already knew about everything and would definitely take care of her. Lin Minyu and Jialan entered the luxurious room where the girls showed a closet with a dress for tomorrow's ceremony, filling the room with anticipation of the important day. Seeing this gorgeous dress, Jialan excitedly asked if she would really wear it to the ceremony. The girl confidently answered that this is how it is customary to dress for a wedding here. With sadness on his face, Jialan asked to help her prepare for the wedding. Although it was only an order, he could not accept that she would marry someone else and asked permission to help with the dress and other small things. Although it seemed strange to Lin Minyu, she felt his gaze penetrating her very heart. She just couldn't refuse him. Finally, the long-awaited day of their wedding arrived. They entered the castle dressed and stunningly beautiful. Their eyes lingered on Lin Minyu, who radiated charm. Behind Ling Minyu stood Jialan, helping her get dressed. He lovingly picked up the loose belt of her dress and tightened it tightly around her slender waist. Jialan kissed her on the cheek, and she blushed as she felt a wave of embarrassment wash over her heart. He hugged her by the neck, gently whispering in her ear about his desire for her to visit him tomorrow in this same dress, and only to him and not to anyone else. The expression on the girl's face changed dramatically, overwhelming her with sadness. She wanted to say something, but suddenly changed her mind. Her thoughts drifted to everything they had experienced together, and this awakened her feelings for Jialan. Jialan embraced her, promising her a hand and a heart as soon as they found the holy maiden of the southern tribe. He made her a proposal that united their destinies. The girl angrily shouted that she did not want this, her face burning with indignation. Jinglan was surprised and saddened by her answer, but said that she could not answer such an unexpected offer, and she began to lay out her conditions. If he wants to marry her, they should have their own house, a big diamond, and there would be no shortage of tasty treats. Jialan was overwhelmed by her dreams. He was ready to do anything for her to agree to become his wife. His decision was unshakable, and for her consent, he was ready to make any sacrifices. He looked at her with fascination and assured her that he understood her attachment to monogamy. He promised never to cheat and that she would have no doubts about him. The girl nodded her approval, accepting his proposal. After that, they shared a passionate kiss, and Jialan assured that he would never regret such a decision. He swore that he would fulfill all her hopes and confessed his ardent love for her. They slowly sank down on the bed, captivated by a passionate kiss. But suddenly he headed for the door as if he remembered something important. It was her friend Yue hearing that she was also not indifferent to him happened to witness their conversation. He got angry at what he heard so much that he almost clenched his fists from rage, trying to keep all his anger inside himself. He realized that he had to immediately deal with what was happening in the house, and that he would not have the opportunity to be with Lin Minyu from now on. The morning in the majestic castle began with the sun peeking through the windows to each room, filling them with warm, life-giving rays. Suddenly, a voice outside the room knocked loudly on Lin Minyu's door, reminding her that it was time to wake up. In the room where Ling Mingyue and Jialan were fast asleep hugging each other, the knock and voice behind the door went unnoticed. When the rustling outside the door became louder, Lin Mingge woke up confused, trying to understand what was happening. When Lin Mingyu finally opened her eyes fully, she remembered that she had forgotten to chase Jialan away last night, and they fell asleep together in bed. The girl started fussing and alarmed Jialan. They were both confused. If anyone finds out that there was another man in the goddess's room on the eve of the wedding, the reputation will be ruined. The girl noticed a barrel of their secret discovery in the corner of her room. She quietly whispered to Jialan that he would have to hide in her room for a while. Lin Minyu locked him in a barrel and warned him that he would only be able to get out after she left the room. Doubts tormented Jialan's soul. Although the girl agreed to marry him, he felt as if he was deceiving her. He worried that she would not feel guilty about their hasty decision. In the luxurious palace, a festive wedding mood was already raging. Cheerful singing was heard. Pigeons were circling over the flowers. The host thanked the guests for their presence and expressed the hope that their union would bring prosperity and well-being to the tribe. In their wedding dresses, they stood shoulder to shoulder. Sayer Ka raised a glass of wine, emphasizing that this drink was not given to them by a goddess, but a slight drowsiness and excitement envelops those who taste it. He was in a high mood, emphasizing that on such a solemn and important day, no one will leave without tasting this wine. All the guests simultaneously raised their glasses to the sky as if celebrating under the stars. Having tasted this magical nectar, the guests rejoiced at the invention of the goddess, and the boys stealthily gained courage. He was only waiting for Sayer Ka and his guard to get drunk in order to implement their rebellious plan. The evening enveloped the sky with gently twinkling stars. From the walls of the castle came voices, among which the order of Sayer Ka was heard. Pour more wine. In the castle hall, Lin Minyue and Sayer Ka were sitting on a soft sofa. The girl was in despair, seeing how the leader was already drunk. She begged him to stop drinking, but Sayer assured him that he was not drunk, and added that her wine was too delicious to stop. Suddenly, an uncontrolled invader bursts into the room with the intention of staging a coup. He rushes at the leader, claiming that the events have gone too far and that he is not at all worthy to lead them. These words angered the leader. He jumped up and began to shout. So who is worthy then? Bidila confidently stated that he would have coped with this role better than Sayer. If the Holy Virgin had not said nonsense to the former leader, he would have ruled the southern tribe long ago. He thought it was time to return the throne to its rightful owner. Bidil's army rushes into the room, ready to attack. The divine mistress was stunned and angry. She suspected that he was preparing a coup, but she had no idea how his guard penetrated the capital, because it seemed impossible. Smiling, he told how their group imperceptibly infiltrated the capital and was now waiting for orders from their leader. Bedila gave the order to attack, declaring that whoever brought him Sayer Ka's head would immediately be recognized as his deputy. Boldness and danger were woven into every word of this challenge. But Sayer Ka only laughed when he heard these words. He was not afraid at all and defiantly declared that it would not be an easy task for them. He clicked his finger, creating a magical click. Suddenly, his bodyguards appeared in the room and were much stronger than the poor man's bodyguards. Bai could not even imagine such a turn of events, because he was convinced that they should have been hypnotized by now. Seer had foreseen everything. He knew that he was not the only one who could pretend. Having guessed his intentions, he prepared a trap into which he fell. Bedila burst into anger, not expecting such a development. Sayer Kai's guards immediately rushed into battle, protecting their leader from attackers and dealing with any traitors who threatened their plans. Lin Minyu felt fear, knowing that something bad would happen soon. Her whole being was overcome by the desire to run away. Suddenly, someone grabbed her arm. Turning around, she saw Jia Lan in front of her. Jia Lan anxiously looked at Ling Minyu, promising to take her to a safe place to prevent danger. The fierce battle between Bedil and Sayer Ka unfolded with incredible force. Sayer Ka's screams echoed off the walls of the castle, and it seemed that he retreated a little in the face of danger. The assistant painstakingly bandaged the wounded hand of the leader. He screamed in pain but patiently endured the pain, knowing that it was necessary. Ling Minyu confidently bursts into the room with Jia Lan and Ta Yue. She warmly congratulates him on his victory in successfully suppressing the plot and eliminating the internal conflicts of the tribe. The leader confidently took the blonde's hand. She was surprised and blushed barely perceptibly. Sayer Ka kissed her hand, admitting that without her help, he would not have succeeded. He thanked her sincerely for her participation in his plan. Watching the driver kiss her hand, Jia Lan and Yue felt anger. They didn't like it at all. Jia Lan approached the leader, noting that a kiss on the hand was unnecessary. The leader just laughed, saying that he could not resist such beauty. Yue agreed with the leader that in exchange for this performance, he would arrange a meeting with a holy maiden from the southern tribe. With a stern expression on his face, he rushed straight at him, insisting that he leave immediately. The leader begged for mercy because of his wounds, and no one dared to pressure him. However, Yue was indifferent. His cold gaze pierced the leader like ice. In the end, Sayurka agreed to lead them to the Holy Virgin. However, Sayurka warned that the journey would be difficult and he had sprained his leg, so the group would have to support him on the way. The boys were not jokingly outraged by this. The leader of the tribe was satisfied with the ingenuity of the boys and assured that by dawn all plans would be implemented. They reluctantly carried him on an improvised throne on their shoulders, but were interested in meeting the girl who captivated everyone with her charm. In their hearts, they already dreamed of pushing him from the throne. But they endured all these humiliations. Night fell and they continued towards the city. Kyer Ka settled comfortably on the throne and fell asleep while the boys, exhausted, carried him on their shoulders. Dawn was already coming, but as he had promised, they still had not reached the appointed place. Lin Minyu was on the verge of exhaustion. Her strength was fading with each step. Sayer Ka finally opened his eyes and woke up feeling energy begin to fill his body. Seeing the castle on top of the mountain, Sayer Ka confidently declared that this is where they are heading. Inside the castle, a young girl, deftly balancing on the stones, tried to reach the top of the wardrobe to shake it. Her touching determination had a special charm in it. Her name was Bania, the Holy Virgin, a girl with big green eyes who was mesmerizing with her beauty. And suddenly her foot slipped from the stone on which she was standing. The girl plummets down like a bird that has lost its wings. But suddenly an invisible hero quickly grabs her, preventing the girl from crashing to the ground. Sayer quickly ran to her and caught her tightly in his arms. He asked how she felt holding her tenderly in his arms. Their eyes met and an invisible spark ran between them. The girl was surprised, not understanding what Sayer was doing here. The boys were surprised when Sayer Kai suddenly ran up to her even though his leg hurt. They realized that he had deceived them. They were outraged and dreamed of punching him in the face. However, Sayer ingeniously got out of the situation, assuring that his leg was really twisted. But during the night while he was being carried, it miraculously healed. But suddenly Bania stopped, looking around in confusion, unable to understand what was happening. Lin Minyu suddenly appeared in front of her. Lin Minyu introduced herself and explained that she had asked Sheer to bring her here to discuss the 4 tribes' treasures. Bania could not believe her eyes. Had she really been waiting for this moment? It was difficult for her to grasp the reality of the event. She suddenly cried out in excitement, finally waiting for this moment. She was lucky to meet the incarnation of the great goddess of water. She threw herself into the arms of the goddess, filling her with words of joy. Finally, this majestic creature came to them. The boys shook their heads in surprise when they heard this. They couldn't believe that Lin Minyu was the same water goddess from the ancient legend. Bania resolutely grabbed the woman's hand, telling her to follow her. She promised to lead her to the place where what always belonged to her was located. Lin Minyu was confused. She didn't know if she was a water goddess, but she often thought about it, especially when the system showed her the main task. After all, she could summon rain and thunder, and this only made her stronger. Bania led her to the secret room where the treasures of the 4 tribes were kept, all belonging to Lin Minyu. The girl could not believe her eyes. All 4 treasures were gathered in one place, which she never expected. She was convinced that each of the holy maidens kept a part of the wand and was supposed to hide it in the mortal world. But something went wrong, and all the parts gathered in one place here. Ibania told her that it was true, but a lot of time had passed since then. The 4 holy virgins had long gone into oblivion, and the duty of guarding the treasures fell on the shoulders of their descendants. 57 generations had passed, and now only she remained. Ibania was now the only one who guards these treasures. Ibania reassured the girl, saying that it was even for the best, because she would not have to waste time looking for other parts. The girl did not expect that everything would be so simple. Bania happily announced that the ceremony to restore the divine staff could begin. 4 magical chests opened before admiring glances. Lin Mingyu was stunned and confused, her thoughts swirling chaotically among a multitude of questions. Gathering her spirits, Lin Mingyu walked over to the chest and ordered the corpse to return to its previous state. The magical energy enveloped Lin Mingyu like a cloak made of stars. In an instant, Lin Mingyu transformed into a magical goddess with a magical wand shining brightly in her hand. She completed the task of finding the treasures of the 4 tribes. The last step remained to press the button that would turn the desert into a huge oasis. She was not ready for such a turn. After completing the task, she hoped to return to her world, but the reality turned out to be different. There remained in her world the position at the research center to which she had longed for so long. However, in this world remained her love, friends, and feelings with which she could not part. She was immersed in her thoughts,